heartbreaks and heartaches, up and down and on its cause it's all the poverty, heartbreaks and heartaches, up and down and on its cause it's all the poverty, heartbreaks and heartaches, up and down and on its you know, nothing in the world makes me sadder than to see a lonely person. You know, nothing in the world makes me sadder than to see a lonely person. Envious round, there's still a lot of love. Up and down and on its smiles. Envious round, there's still a lot of love. Up and down and on its smiles. Envious round, there's still a lot of love. Up and down and on its when you're blue, you got nothing to do. Head to the party. When you're blue, you got nothing to do. Head to the party. When you're blue, you got nothing to do. Head to the party. When you're blue, you got there's still a lot of love. Up and down and on its I like the party life. I like the party life. I like the party life. Share your love whenever you please. Loving free out the please. Share your love whenever you please. Loving free out the please. Share your love whenever you please. Loving free out the please. Share your love whenever you please. Loving free out the please. Get into the party life. Get into the party life. Get into the party life. Party life. Oh, I like the party life. Oh, I like the party life. Oh, I like the living love, free and free. Loving your love whenever you please. Living love, free and free. Loving your love whenever you please. Living love, free and free. Loving your love whenever you please. Living love, free and free. Loving your love whenever you please. It's the party life. It's the party life. It's the party life. It's the party
White snow, you show me that the world is cold, a frozen water divine. I now know I could paint all the colors in the world, but they would be blind to your eyes. They see me deep and true, there's no escape, no room for disguise. So we'll dive inside your seas once more. I'm not afraid to be
If you would like to take a seat, we'll have our next speaker on stage in just a moment.
It could be so simple, I could be so true to you. You were just a lover. In my heart, you were temporary. You were just another. You were just a lover. I can't bear for you to leave. It could be so simple, I could be so true to you. You were just a lover. In my heart, you were temporary. You were just another. You were just a lover. I can't bear for you to leave.
And on stage, we have Colin Woodward.
You were just a lover. In my heart, you were just a lover. In my heart.
Hello, hello. Sound check? This works?
Not yet. You have to give it like probably a recount. You push it all the way up. Yeah. That one did fall. It did just fall to the ground too. Yeah. Sorry about that.
1 second. Technical.
Battery dead.
And there we go.
All right.
Beautiful.
Hey, Colin.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
Everybody. Thanks for being here. We're really happy to see you. I have on stage with me Colin Woodward, who is a lawyer.
A Web3 lawyer.
So I got some questions about this. I think it's going to be a really interesting talk, actually. But Colin, we'll start with, who are you, what do you do, and how did you get here?
Well, first of all, I'd like to congratulate you on this awesome venue. It really came together really well, and it's a really impressive kind of, feat that you've done here. So
Thank you, sir. Colin was here 2 days ago when it was not this.
yes, lots of work was done in very short order, I promise you all. Bit of context there. So I got involved in the Web3 the Web3 space back in 2017. At the top of that market, made lots of money and then quickly lost it all. But I was immediately attracted to, the promises, which are often way too lofty, of blockchain back in 2017. So even, once the winter bear market started, I kept learning, kept listening to podcasts and everything, and kept educating myself on the underlying technology and all that stuff. Right after COVID started in 2020, I was introduced to the concept of NFTs via Nifty Gateway and NBA Top Shots. And at first I was extremely confused, but again, really intrigued by the idea of, ownership rights on the internet, these digital assets that, could be, that have these components of provability and scarcity and provenance to them. So I didn't dismiss it. I dug a little bit further and really got addicted to the idea of NFTs. Started, mingling in the Twitter and Discord circles, trying to get more information about NFTs and what the landscape looked like and everything. Eventually, I came across a guy that runs a venture fund out of the UK, and we really hit it off. And he invited me into this group that he was running of lots of the Web3 founders at the time. That's where I met Jimmy, and we really hit it off. And I eventually agreed to join him and help start a Web3 company just about a year ago. So it's been quite the journey.
To me, that is incredible, because the risk tolerance of other lawyers that I know is not always akin to the crypto market.
Yeah, certainly not. But when you're younger, not young, but younger, you can take more risks, and your risk appetite naturally should be a bit higher. Kind of reach out there because, to a large extent, the safe thing will always be there. And that was kind of the mentality that I took in, admittedly leaving my very safe job at a law firm, taking a pay cut and taking a dive, headfirst into Web3 and NFTs. So.
That's awesome. Okay, so the meat and potatoes, the hard stuff, some of what we really want to hear. Things have changed recently. Terra's not doing so good. Luna's not really there. There have been a lot of legislation, a lot of bills introduced, a lot of legal stuff happening. What do you see changing, or what do you see happening? How do you interpret it? How about that?
Sure. So, lots has happened very recently, and I think lots more is going to come over the subsequent weeks, months, and years here. And I think we're finally starting to see meaningful regulation enter this space via, several different avenues. One is executive orders, like the one that Biden issued in March of this year. Another is the recent bipartisan bill introduced by Senators Loomis and Gillibrand. Another is regulatory enforcement, like what the SEC is constantly pursuing against companies like BlockFi and what I think is coming against Do Kwon and Terraform Labs, as Matt alluded to. The fourth is criminal prosecutions, unfortunately, like what we have seen recently with Nate Chastain and OpenSea. And so these kind of four different avenues of finally bringing regulatory clarity and precedent to the Web3 and NFT space is certainly on our horizon here. It's at our doorstep, really. So.
All right, so remember, everyone, what follows from here is not legal advice.
Not advice of any kind, actually, yes.
What do we, so what do we do? Seriously, some of this, for example, the bill that was just recently introduced will have decently far-reaching implications, especially for the NFT market, right? So we're here, this is an NFT gallery. There are a lot of creators and artists and folks who are learning, who have been here and doing this for a long time. How might you interpret some of those things for the everyday person, and how could we manage or understand them in a way that helps what we do every day in terms of our collecting and our even creation of some of those pieces?
Yeah, sure. So kind of the TLDR of the Loomis and Gillibrand bipartisan bill is that they are seeking to classify digital assets, which include NFTs, as commodities, not securities that would be subject to the purview of the SEC, right? So should this new crypto bill pass, the CFTC would be regulating all these different digital assets, whether they're cryptocurrencies that operate more in a monetary fashion, or if they are digital assets like NFTs that kind of prescribe property rights over a particular item or whatever it may be, right? And so typically commodities are things like oil and wheat, and not securities like the average stock or other kind of investment contract like that, right? And so that is kind of the chief framework for which they are trying to introduce kind of a comprehensive new framework that would cover all things digital assets.
So that's good.
That's good in some respects. There's lots of initial concerns around this proposal, though, because the CFTC is actually one of the least funded governmental organizations that we have, right? So putting the onus on the CFTC to then regulate all of these digital assets when it doesn't have the people power and the resources to do so is, a very big question, right? On the other hand, we have the SEC, right, which is, in my opinion, way too overly aggressive. And this primarily, stems from Gary Gensler, who is taking a very enforcement-heavy approach as opposed to kind of more of a cooperative approach to, talking with these projects and with these companies and finding out more about the nuance of what they're doing in the space and everything. So.
It's an interesting way to put it. So actually, I won't pull on this thread too much longer, but I'm interested in your perspective on regulation. So there, again, in the NFT communities in particular, have been scams and rug pulls and insider trading, if you will.
Another thing we'll touch on for sure.
Yeah. So, or maybe that's a good segue.
Yeah.
In one instance, I in particular, I'm not necessarily always for regulation, but the Wild Wild West is a dangerous place. And it's interesting that these bills are being introduced. So, for example, you said to a department that has no funding, on one hand, I might say, like, ha, cool. On the other hand, I might say, that sounds awful. Why would they do that? It doesn't actually make any sense. Where do you think regulation fits into things like NFT markets in the coming future?
Well, so presumably, if the FTC were to take ownership over all digital assets, there would need to be a framework for funding it in a significant way to give it the resources to actually do its job and do what these two senators kind of have identified as the primary objectives, which is investor protection, and then also financial inclusivity and making sure that money laundering is tracked and national security is protected, right?
Makes sense. So segueing into Nate, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Nate got himself into quite the pickle there. Unfortunately, I think the SEC is out to take that case all the way, potentially through trial and make an example of him. I guess like perhaps the crudest way to put it is he might become the Martha Stewart of NFTs. It doesn't look good for Nate. He's been charged with money laundering and wire fraud. The whole kind of concept around this is that he used the confidential business information of OpenSea, that being the items that would be featured on OpenSea's homepage. He used that information to trade against other people in the marketplace and against his own employer, and received a personal benefit in the form of ETH and then, obviously USD. And then he used a bunch of anonymous wallets to cover up his transactions. He used some anonymous OpenSea accounts in order to kind of cover up his tracks. And that is kind of where the money laundering aspect of all the charges come into play.
It's actually a good point that you bring up. One of the fundamental tenets of using blockchain technology is that it is, in fact, a public ledger. Mm-hmm. So in many cases, I think enforcement might be easier, depending on the regulations that are passed.
Yeah, for anyone that needs to hear this, conducting illicit activity on a blockchain is a really bad idea. They're public ledgers, and whether in bad activity and bad actors are going to be rooted out. Whether it's by anons on crypto Twitter, which is actually the origin of how Nate Chastain's activity came to light, or whether it's through regulatory or law enforcement agencies themselves, right? And one thing we have to keep in mind is that the U.S. government is actually contracted with some of the best blockchain forensics companies like Chainalysis, and they regularly use them to prosecute criminal cases. Yeah, conducting illicit activity on a blockchain is a very poor idea, and you are more likely than not going to be pinched, and there's just no getting around that. So,
makes sense. Notes that one was legal advice for anyone who's listening. Don't do bad things in the blockchain.
Yeah. So, kind of on that note, one of for NFT projects and NFT companies, for digital asset companies in general, really, I think one of the best pieces of advice is to make sure that you're staying proactive and you have in place internal, asset trading policies, buying policies that you both that you update, that you enforce, and that you track to make sure that your employees are kind of abiding by the spirit of the law and making sure that they don't get mixed up in any illicit activity, right? And that protects both the company and hopefully it protects the employees as well, because expectations are set clear and they know exactly what they should or shouldn't do, right? Now, of course, I'm sure many of you are sitting there and you're like, well, Nate didn't need a policy to know that what he was doing was, not great. And that's true, right? Like lots of activity on its face is probably a really bad idea and potentially criminal conduct. Fortunately for OpenSea, they actually did have a policy in place, which is one of the main tools that the Department of Justice is using against Nate in that case. So.
That's awesome. So backing off to something different, the crash of Terra Luna and the stablecoins. What do you think is going to be the ultimate result of that as it pertains to these ERC20 tokens?
Yep, so I think that the SEC is already very quickly building a case against Do Kwon and against Terraform Labs. The primary problem being that Terraform Labs is a Singapore-based company. Do Kwon is a citizen of South Korea, right? So in law parlance, we have this issue of personal jurisdiction, right? This is a corporation and an individual. They're located outside the U.S. So what gives the SEC the jurisdiction to, send subpoenas to Do Kwon and his company, or compel Do Kwon to show up for questioning, or any kind of related activity surrounding a typical criminal or securities investigation, right? What happened very recently, though, was that a district court in New York actually ruled that thank you, Jimmy, that the SEC has personal jurisdiction over Do Kwon and Terraform Labs by virtue of their commercial activity that touches individuals that reside here in the United States, right? So, and that was with respect to this thing called Mirror Protocol, which is a DeFi platform that's run within the Terra ecosystem. Essentially, it allows stocks to be pegged to certain coins, and then you can trade on the value of stocks within this Mirror Protocol. The SEC is already investigating Do Kwon and Terraform Labs over the conduct of the Mirror Protocol. They got this piece of precedent now from a U.S. district court in New York. It's not a strong piece of precedent because this is just a district court as opposed to an appellate court or something higher of that nature. But I think it is the groundwork for the SEC really trying to get in there and make Do Kwon accountable for the enormous collapse of the Luna and UST ecosystem. Unfortunately, we're talking about like between 40 and 60 billion dollars worth of predominantly retail and institutional value gone from that. So
I've done a bit of reading on what happened and what they think specifically happened in the way that those stablecoins were structured, and they're actually algorithmic stablecoins. And so an interesting question that sort of came to my mind is each time you see a systematic failure in other industries, you often see tailwind regulation that comes after. Do you anticipate that they'll get technical and start looking at other algorithmic or otherwise stablecoins?
Yeah, I think algorithmic stablecoins in particular are going to be targeted, right? Just kind of more context is that the stablecoin industry is generally comprised of like 3 different types of stablecoins. You have the algorithmic ones, right, which are only partially backed by some sort of underlying asset. You have an over-collateralized stablecoin, which is something like USDC, right, where they have certain reserves in place above the actual amount of token issuance that they have out in the market or the float, right? And then you have just a regular collateralized stablecoin, right? And so the over-collateralized and the collateralized are the 2 safest because in the event of a liquidation event or a death spiral, like what happened with Luna and Terra, there's some sort of recourse for the holders of that token. There's the underlying asset. Unfortunately, how Luna was set up, it was only partially backed by Bitcoin. There were some apparently very, very large whales that came up with a scheme to create a death spiral such that the Terra fund was forced to sell Bitcoin to the market, and that reduced the peg of UST to Luna, and a death spiral ensued from there, which ended up breaking the UST peg of $1 and cause a total ecosystem collapse. They're now trying to like fork the whole ecosystem and everything, and whether that is going to be successful is, in my opinion, highly doubtful, but we will see.
So you still wouldn't put your money there?
Yeah, no. To call crypto vanilla is kind of an oxymoron, but I'm kind of like a vanilla crypto person, and that I primarily just do Bitcoin and Ethereum.
There's that risk aversion.
Yeah.
We found it.
Yeah, we found it. Yeah. Had to get it out of me there.
That's all right. That's awesome. So, in terms of other headwinds or tailwinds that you see inside the legal market, it's super awesome to have your expertise and your lens for the crypto world right now. What do you think?
Well, so there's kind of a third component that we haven't talked about yet, and that is, regulation that's coming via SEC enforcement actions. One of the biggest things that I think has happened over the last couple of months that perhaps went under the radar is the SEC settled with BlockFi for $100 million. The SEC was alleging that BlockFi was essentially, so BlockFi was offering these things called interest-bearing accounts. You could have, say, USDC or ETH sit in your interest account, and then it would earn a set level of interest per day, which was paid out at the end of every month. And essentially, it's just like passive yield. And it was the thing that really fueled a lot of these early DeFi platforms in 2020. The SEC came in and was set on making an example of BlockFi, and they charged them with essentially operating an unregistered securities platform, and it ultimately culminated in BlockFi settling for $100 million. So a significant blow to all the corporations like BlockFi, like Coinbase actually. Coinbase was getting ready to launch its lend product, right, which would operate in a similar fashion. All of those crypto services and products were instantly put the kibosh on because of this precedent. So, and this is Gary Gensler's MO right now. He wants to go in there, swinging a hammer and making sure that he gets lots of press doing it. He has no interest in negotiating with folks in the Web3 space, unfortunately. We hope that changes in the near future, but right now he's out there shooting from the hip.
Does anybody know Gary? Colin wants to meet him.
I don't really have that much interest in meeting Gary, to be honest.
Got it.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. Does anyone take a quick pause? Does anyone have any questions? Great. Do we have a traveling mic? No?
I can be your traveler if you want.
Want to travel? All right.
Hey guys, my question is about OpenSea and Nate Chastain. Was OpenSea, did they go too heavy-handed on Nate and put him in too much trouble, or were they required to do what they did in order to make sure that they didn't get in trouble in the future?
You'll have to fill me in. What did OpenSea have Nate do?
Well, no, what OpenSea did when they found out Nate did his thing, they wrote a letter basically to the public and said, we've uncovered insider trading, and they named Nate and they fired Nate very publicly. And that is probably why the DOJ caught wind of this and it prosecuted him. And to be clear, what Nate did was wrong. He does deserve some form of punishment. 20 years for 20 ETH seems a little bit out of bounds. So I'm just curious if there was anything that OpenSea could have done legally different that wouldn't have found Nate in the same situation he's in today.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not sure there's much that OpenSea could have done to change the situation. I agree that the crime is, or the punishment is going to be completely disproportionate to the crime here, right? But unfortunately, he has found himself in a position where he was the former head of product for effectively the largest NFT company on the planet, and the DOJ is looking to make an example of somebody. This was, from all accounts, a fairly clear scheme of quote-unquote insider trading of digital assets, and that's why the DOJ has come out, so heavy-handed like this. They are trying to set the stage and set precedent for the prosecutions that will likely follow from this. And another thing is that I'm not sure much of the blame lies on OpenSea, other than the fact that perhaps there was mismessaging from them, certainly around the term insider trading. I don't think that really had any place in a public announcement or comment of any kind. But I think what the DOJ is primarily going to end up relying on here are the sleuths from crypto Twitter and all the work that they ended up doing far in advance of, OpenSea really getting involved. Because it was like months, right? Between when crypto Twitter came out with this stuff like, hey, check out all this wallet transaction history, we can link it up to this person, and looks very bad. And then, I know you and I have had lots of talks about, the status of NFTs, whether they'll be securities, whether they'll be commodities, or something else like that. And that's where this new bill between Lummis and Gillibrand is very important. It certainly makes far more sense in my mind that these assets are classified as commodities and not securities. However, and that is especially true if the asset itself is sufficiently decentralized in some way, right? However, some of these assets, I think, are likely securities, and that, the profits or potential profits are going to be derived from the work of others directly. And so NFT companies, and in particular NFT projects, have lots of education to do on their own proactively to figure out ways in which they can, decentralize the tokens from their company, put control and ownership of the tokens increasingly in the hands of their community members and away from them, to kind of, make sure the regulators understand that they are trying at least to be decentralized.
Hey, my name's Dylan, and I have maybe somewhat off-topic question here, but we talked about stablecoins, we've talked about NFTs, we haven't talked about this regulation, and one of the most controversial parts of it, I believe, is that we're taking the coins from the L1 networks, such as Ethereum, and supposedly trying to make those into securities. Could you, I don't know, do you have an opinion on that or anything?
You have a bit more background information you can offer on that at all?
Well, it is bullshit that I may have read on the internet, at least potentially. So if this is entirely novel, then I believe maybe it's discredited at this point.
So is the question around whether like most L1 tokens are securities, or? Okay, all right. Well, and really that depends on how the tokens originated, right? We have, of course, like Bitcoin, which is a proof of work token, right? And there was no public pre-sale or anything like that. I think it's the clearest form of a non-security in crypto, right? We have, yeah. I mean, it's clearly a commodity. There's no arguable basis for anything other than calling it a commodity, I think. Well, either a commodity or perhaps an actual, currency one of these days, maybe. Ethereum's a bit different, right? They did have the pre-sale, although it is so decentralized right now that arguably all those concerns around whether it may have been a security back in, was it 2016 or something like that, 2017, whenever the pre-sale was. I think that those security concerns and consumer protection concerns are probably outdated. It's not something that I think like the SEC could really have strong footing on. If they were to go in and try and argue that, they want to upend Ethereum because, frickin' 6 years ago they had a public sale, right? For all those other tokens, more likely than not, they have securities components. Because they are sufficiently centralized in that most of the tokens are held either by the corporate entity itself or a small group of VCs, right? or perhaps the tokens promise some sort of yield, right, that is derived from the efforts of others, right? So it's very contextual. It really, really depends on, you know, which token we're talking about and the circumstances under which that token came to the market. Yep.
Hey, my name's Paul. I got a question for you about DAOs, if that's cool. So the legal status of DAOs is interesting to me because you have, on one level, the basic notion of them being legally recognized as a co-op or a corporation proxy, which is somewhat uncertain. And then you also have the legal liability for the people that are holding them and that they lack a lot of the liability protections that you would normally get.
Yes, they do.
So I know that a couple of states have started to bring in some legislation which allow you to have a kind of a state-formed corporation that is then operated off of a DAO. I want to say Oregon or Wyoming. I can't remember exactly which state it was. Do you know where that's at right now? Is there progress happening? Is it going to be from states like those other states, or more of them doing that? What do you think is going to happen there?
Yeah. So the two states that have been kind of leading the charge on DAOs are, of course, Wyoming and Delaware, actually. I'm sure that lots more states are going to introduce like DAO-specific, you know, new proposals or DAO-like kind of proposals to create these new legal entities. But all that stuff is happening in kind of a very splintered way, because what you alluded to is correct. Each of the states is really coming up with its own framework for, you know, a decentralized autonomous organization. And so each state is going to have its own particular rules, regulations, requirements for properly constructing a DAO within that state and operating it. In large part, the DAO entity today is not as effective as it should be because of the first thing you mentioned, which is that effectively everyone that's part of a DAO is a general partner that is subject potentially to individual liability should that DAO be sued, right? So the safest way to participate in a DAO is actually through another entity of your own, like an LLC, right? You'd set up an LLC, and then you'd make that LLC a member of the DAO. That way, if there's anything that happens with that DAO, you have that limited liability protection of the LLC to fall back on. And until we get that, you know, kind of a larger, perhaps even federal framework for DAOs, I'm not sure if federal makes sense actually, because even limited liability companies have been predominantly handled on the state level. But until we get some more clarity there, or at least a subset of states that are all kind of following the same standards and protocols there, we're not going to have tons of clarity, unfortunately, on DAOs. It's early for DAOs. DAOs have immense potential. They will play a gigantic part in the Web3 of tomorrow. But right now, we're just, like lots of, you know, crypto and Web3 stuff, we're in the early days, so.
Just real quick, do you know how long the Delaware legislation on that, how far out? Is there any signs of when that might come along?
Delaware has active DAO,
so that's in place already?
Construction, in place, yes,
Cool.
yes. And it's actually, in a lot of respects, more effective than what Wyoming has to offer, so.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
I'm not seeing any. Yeah, I got one? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, there we go.
So, you know, we're here in an NFT gallery. You know, NFT is a focus. Whether you're involved in a DAO project, that was one of my questions. Thank you for answering that, because, you know, you want to give, you want to serve, but you want to limit or mitigate your exposure. But let's say, you know, you're launching an NFT project, you're involved in an NFT project, and you want to definitely, you know, over-deliver and under-promise, but you got to be mindful of how much utility do you actually deliver. And that's when I saw that bipartisan bill, you know, it could be away from the SEC, it might be considered a commodity, but how can a project owner best protect his or her community while also protecting themselves when it comes to over-delivering value and offering massive utility far beyond what was initially promised?
Very interesting question, and perhaps a $1 million question for lots of NFT projects out there. It's actually less of a legal question, I think, and more of a business question. being innovative is very difficult in a space that's competitive as this and is driving new pieces of innovation every day. So finding new ways to create utility that actually matches the composition of your membership, right, and that makes sense within the ethos of the project is difficult, and really it's kind of a business thing that's up to the founders to really sit down, think hard on, and grind on, right? And really the one like golden rule is never talk about price.
All right, I think we got one more question from Pete, and then I got one in reserve for you too.
Yeah, hey. So going back to the CFTC conversation, understanding the route that the SEC has taken in many other situations, it seems like BS. I think Gillibrand and Loomis are making a power play. They've got dollars somewhere.
It's absolutely a power play, yes, to dethrone the SEC and
frankly,
raise
at
up
the end of the day,
CFTC.
there's countries that are looking at using Bitcoin as a currency.
Correct.
So this makes absolutely no sense to me. I just thought I'd ask your real opinion and not legal advice.
Yeah, no, this is at its core a power conflict between the CFTC and the SEC and the senators that have ties to both organizations, and going one level deeper, the monetary contributors, donors of those senators that end up proposing legislation like this, right? So, and kind of as I mentioned before, the fact that Lummis and Gillibrand want to kind of enshrine the CFTC as the godfather of digital assets, when that organization has basically been gutted, raises lots of obvious questions, right? Like, how are they going to do it, right? Now, another thing that I want to note is that the SEC is seeing like massive attrition right now. They have a lot of really unhappy people who hate Gary Gensler's stance on regulatory enforcement like this. Lots of really good lawyers that have been part of the SEC for a long time who want to take these cases, even really bad cases. They want to settle them, get them off their books, and drive policy forward in a very reasonable way, right?
He's focusing on the wrong things.
He's focusing on the wrong things.
Get rid
yes.
of naked shorting and focus on that.
Yep.
Follow up though, a point to this is that think about who you're donating money to.
Most definitely.
And follow the dollars, because if you're backing the wrong side, we at some point we need something that's a functional system.
Yep. Yep. Now, donors and origins of money aside, Lummis in particular has been in the crypto industry for a very long time. I think she was part of like the third ever Ethereum roundtable or something like that. So her roots are extremely deep. She's been in this game for a long time, understands all the puzzle pieces and pieces on the board very well, and she's got really fantastic network connections. The bill itself, isn't perfect by any measure, but, considering where we're at right now, I think it's good enough. I hope that in some large respect it ends up passing, although more practically, I think we're going to get stuck with many months of debate and revision and yada, yada, yada.
I think the problem is that it classifies it as a digital asset and kind of preemptively agrees on something that's not completely decided. I mean, it can be a currency. It can be other things. And I think, long term, we're looking at serious issues trying to work out the entire industry if they just lock it down like that.
Yep, most definitely. Well, but my understanding is that the default presumption would be that the digital asset is a commodity. However, should it show characteristics of being in security, it can be reclassified as such, right? Should it show characteristics of being, more of a monetary instrument, akin to a dollar or something like that, then it can be reclassified as such. So, but all of that is really important stuff that needs to be fleshed out in the final chapters of before that bill actually gets proposed for voting.
I'm not seeing any other hands up at the moment. Okay, so I got one in reserve for myself. So about this time last year, we kind of saw a change in the crypto regulatory stance in China, which led to a mass exodus and a complete geographical shift in blockchain production, right? The miners and the validators really all moved out and went to
For Bitcoin in particular, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then ended up in Kyrgyzstan, some more in Texas, and other places like this. What I wanted to ask was, what jurisdictions, because we've been very US focused throughout this conversation, what jurisdictions are you seeing outside of the US that you consider to be more crypto friendly?
That's a very good one. So certainly my legal focus, my professional focus is on the U.S. since that's where I live and where I work. I think we have lots of interesting jurisdictional pros and cons popping up in Central America, certainly in parts of the Caribbean, which have commonly been used to create Swiss bank accounts and have a bit more, lenient financial regulation and reporting requirements and everything like that. I think that we will start to see some safe havens in the EU, although the EU has taken a really poor approach to crypto and Web3, much more restrictive than the US actually. So I think allowing those kind of jurisdictional opportunities to actually continue in the EU is going to be difficult. So I really think that the US is going to continue to be the leader for financial innovation like this and the home to crypto and Web3. We owe it to ourselves to do it. It's actually a matter of national security, if you ask me. So there will be certainly other opportunities elsewhere, especially if you're trying to maximize tax incentives and stuff like that. But if we can't do it, I'm not sure who's going to do it better.
Phew. We made it. No, seriously, Colin is wicked smart on this stuff. He's going to be here for a little while. We're going to force him to walk around and have a drink. Let's give a quick round of applause, and then you all can have a drink as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Colin.
Try to say you should move far away, but it's gone too far. But it's gone too far. People won't find a place to hide away, safe from harm, safe from harm, safe from harm. Safe from harm. Walls are made for falling down. Feel it goes falling down. Tear it down, tear it down. Walls are made for solid ground. Over, under, through it now. Just take it down, take it down. There's something over the border. There's something over the border. There's something over the border. There's something over the border.
Looks like there's rain up ahead, like there's a crack in the heavens. Feels like my day could be turning, like I can tell in my
Can I kick it? Yes, you can. 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 Well, I'm gone. Can I kick it? To all the people who can quest like a tribe does. Before this, did you really know what live was? Comprehend to the track force, why? Cause getting mentions on the tip of the vibe buzz. Rock and roll to the beat of the funk fuzz. Wipe your feet really good on the rhythm rug. If you feel the urge to freak, do the jitterbug. Come and spread your arms if you really need a hug. Afrocentric living is a big shrug. A life filled with, that's what I love. A lower plateau is what we're above. If you diss us, we won't even think of. We'll nipper the dog and give a big shove. This rhythm really fits like a snug glove. Like a box of positives, it's a plus love. As the trial flies high like a dove. kick it? Yes, you can. Can I 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 kick it?
Right now, Fife is a point sayer. At times, I'm a studio conveyor. Mr. Dinkins, would you please be my mayor? You'll be doing us a really big favor. Boy, this track really has a lot of flavor. When it comes to rhythms, Quest is your savior. Follow us for the funky behavior. Make a note on the rhythm we gave you. Feel free, drop your pants, yeah, yeah. Do you like the garments that we wear? I instruct you to be the obeyer. A rhythm recipe that you'll savor. Doesn't matter if you're minor or major. Yes, the tribe of the game with a player. As you inhale like a breath of fresh air.
kick it? Yes, you can. Can I 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 kick it? Yes, you can. Well, I'm gone. Can I kick it? To all the people who can quest like a tribe does. Before this, did you really know what live was? Comprehend to the track force, why? Cause getting mentions on the tip of the vibe buzz. Rock and roll to the beat of the funk fuzz. Wipe your feet really good on the rhythm rug. If you feel the urge to freak, do the jitterbug. Come and spread your arms if you really need a hug. Afrocentric living is a big shrug. A life filled with, that's what I love. A lower plateau is what we're above. If you diss us, we won't even think of. We'll nipper the dog and give a big shove. This rhythm really fits like a snug glove. Like a box of positives, it's a plus love. As the trial flies high like a dove. Right now, Fife is a point sayer. At times, I'm a studio conveyor. Mr. Dinkins, would you please be my mayor? You'll be doing us a really big favor. Boy, this track really has a lot of flavor. When it comes to rhythms, Quest is your savior. Follow us for the funky behavior. Make a note on the rhythm we gave you. Feel free, drop your pants, yeah. Do you like the garments that we wear? I instruct you to be the obeyer. A rhythm recipe that you'll savor. Doesn't matter if you're minor or major. Yes, the tribe of the game with a player. As you inhale like a breath of fresh air.
Meth Doom.
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
Villain.
What up, nigga?
Ain't nothing. What's the word?
It's cracking, boy.
Same old shit, kid.
Man, rap snitches, man. Shit is bugged out, man. What the fuck, man?
Telling me.
Niggas running their mouth. Telling everything. Everything. Rap snitches, telling all their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label sent up for years. Rap snitches, telling all their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label sent up for years. Tight profile, low, like 8 and paid in full. Attract heavy cash, cut the game centrifugal. Mr. Fantastic, long though like elastic. Got my life with twin Glocks that's made out of plastic. Can't stand a brown nosing nigga, fake ass bastard. Admiring my style, tall bustin' in hats and plotting, playing the quickest. My flow's the sickest, my hoes be the thickest. My dro, the stickiest. Street nigga, stamped and bona fide. When beef jump, niggas come get me cause they know I ride. True to the ski mask, New York's my origin. Play a fake gangster like an old accordion. According to him, when the D's rushed in, complication from the wild testimony was thin. Caused this man to go up and off the board, hit him again. Lame rap snitch nigga, even told on the Mexican. Rap snitches, telling on their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label sent up for years. Rap snitches, telling on their business. Sit in the court and be their own star witness. Do you see the perpetrator? Yeah, I'm right here. Fuck around, get the whole label sent up for years.
True, there's rules to this shit. Fools dare care. Everybody wanna rule the world with tears for fear. Yeah, tell it on the mountain hill. Running up their mouth bill. Everybody doubting still. Informer, keep it up and get tested. Pop through your bubble vest or double breasted. He keep a lab down south in the Little Beast. So much heat you would've thought it was the Middle East. A little grease always keeps the wheels a spinning. Like sitting on 23s to get the squealers grinning. Hitting on many trees, feel real linen. Spitting on enemies, get the steel for 10 men. With no brains but gum flap. He said his gun clapped, then he fled after one slap. Son, shut your trap, save it for the bitches. Delicious, rap snitch, delicious.
You know what I'm saying? It's terrible. Crazy, man. I'm just analyzing this whole game. This is bugged out, man. Niggas snitching, telling on their own self.
It's a horror.
Fuck around, gonna get everybody bag, man.
Atrocity.
Fuck around, get your mama bag, man. You know your grandmama used to be bootlegging, fake hustling, nigga.
Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like a bitch when I'm with you? Baby girl, I'm blue. Because you treat me like shit. I paid for the bed and never even slept in it. I paid for that crib and never stepped foot in. And now somebody else is eating all the pudding. Things changed, now my dashboard wooden. All black Benz like a young Doc Gooden. Dark shades cause I'm stone crazy. Girl, we grown, stop playing on my phone, baby. All your childish attempts to make me angry fall short, which only fuels the rage you have because you have nothing. Understandable, I'm shining brilliant with 5 Brazilians. There were times I used to hide my feelings. Now I'm butt naked in a Lamborghini and motherfuckers can't see me. Wait till this chick see me on TV. I make this shit look easy. Who would've thought I hit you right back? Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like a bitch when I'm with you? So many women wanna call me baby, and you wonder why the fuck that I ain't call you lately. Some would say that I'm the symbol for sex, and others would hate, but I don't give them no breath. Go on a date, I'm at the crib with the chef, and that's me. And you could order whatever. The specialty is white snake and underwear sauce. You could probably catch me somewhere where it's sunny next. And I understand it's only cause I'm popular. I'm getting topped off in the front row of the opera. As Bocelli sings, the celly rings. I gotta go, you'll never know how good it feels to lay in bed with King. I'm not exactly flawless, but I'm gorgeous, just like a horse is. I know the thought of me succeeding makes a lot of people nauseous. Still I'm on the back of the boat, taking pictures with the swordfish. Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like a bitch when I'm with you?
I hope you get a paper cut on your tongue from a razor in a paper cup. I hope every soda you drank already shaken up. I hope your dreams dry like raisins in the baking sun. I hope your titties all saggy in your early 20s. I hope it's always snow in your driveway. I hope you never get off Fridays and you work at a Fridays that's always busy on Fridays. I hope you win the lottery and lose your ticket. I hope it's Ben and Socrates poop all up in your kitchen. I hope the zipper on your jacket gets stuck, and your headphones short, and your charger don't work, and you spill shit on your shirt. I hope your tears don't hurt, and I can smile in your face. Cause my loss is how Delilah changed my locks to a fade. I hope you happy, I hope you happy. I hope you ruin the shit for a reason. I hope you happy.
Why you always all on my back? Why you gotta do me like that? Why you gotta act like a bitch when I'm with you?
Music power.
Yo, my method for my musical madness, move and motivate those with musical talents. Read it in bold print, we holding it down. Lick a shot, hip hop when we in your town. Master blast the sound, freak the future funk from here and now with style. Release, increase the peace, bubble with the beat till they feeling the heat in the streets. Now each one, teach one, each one, young gun on one. Listen to the warriors drum. Beating up the block with the ghetto hop that knock and make you wanna crash the spot and the lock explode. The alpha and the mega code with drum rolls and old soul we uphold and foretold the scores of 6 years ago. Fast flow from G-rap to cool mode, super syllable, major to the minimal. Every individual bounce to the tempo, yo. Lungs collapsing, raps we trapped in. The only way to make it happen, jaw japping fast.
Yo, I'm the hot dog, the runner, hottest monologue install, poetic inserts and yes y'alls. My speech is like holding 2 blocks apiece. The outreach that rock police, the super Avenger member, tenor, Poseidon, adventure swimmer, rewrite the Emmy winner, get hype off any printer, and I came to get it, hit it like Operation Push, operate the tush, black octopus, the soul, and interstellar planet patrol, I'm planning my goal, and lo and behold, it's the rubber dog, ready to rock, it don't stop, hops, I knock like the lumberjack, chop, the wordsmith, I write in block letters, a curse with circus, service, surface, and watch how the brother get over, the fly casting over with the frankincense odor.
Bear witness, don't wear riches to make career bitches. Share pictures when the ears get this, your brains and software glitches. Splatter your brains, leave scatter remains of matter and stains. That'll explain how you was battered and slain. I get rude and go to your show and use your role. Fans to boo and throw you off till you lose your flow. A pro mean that Joe Green when I blow steam. Put your whole team on pause, they cold green. They show laughter when the flow faster. Your whole have to go after her weed from the breeze when the blow past you. I'm dapper plus ghetto and just pedal. When the dust settle, we left in the rubble and the crushed metal. Nurses with hearses, sealing a verse with lip hearses. Spit fire, make it burst a bit. Try me. me like Osama or Dama. I'ma cause trauma and homicides when a colonic a kamikaze.
Came baby, walk hard to PJs. On streets of Brooklyn, I'm a crew of D-Seps. On streets of LA, I'm a whole E-set. On tracks with Jurassic, I be the T-Rex. Still that Gucci dressing, still that coochie pressing. My pimp game smooth to guess him, I don't use discretion. Top 10s do be stressing, fuck explaining it, who's he testing? Physical form or physical forms, leave your ass shaking like a mystical song. Please, now what type of shit was you on? Cause man, to come press a nigga mean one less a nigga. All I want is my niggas all recruiting to slimmy. All I want is my liver all polluted with Remy. Do it with any, bring it, I face off. Turn you out your league like Jordan was with baseball.
Your Majesty, word flash, photography, third class economy, blaze slashed your artery, nerve gas, anatomy, blur past dramatically, herbs hash, my words splash, packed agility, never predictability, maneuvers of mine fully designed, cause I'm true to the rhyme, we do the sublime, cracking your backbone, attacking you whack clones, vernacular writing exact, capital rap zone, to combat verbal assault rifle, we fight like Stokely Carmichael, no, we just like you, we broken, ain't no telling what we might do, ain't no joke, provoke the right crew, we first to see mercy with the king, Asiatic and Percy P, ain't heard the worst of me, I'm to your chest 3D, spit venom and burn your body like a STD.
Put a 20 on the next brother stepping to me wrong. I mess around and make it you achieve my theme song. This might seem wrong, but this is a mean song. Crushed like King Kong and just like ping pong. Back and forth, I spit mile and toss. It's time to floss. My verbal affirmation is to always go off. When syllables slide, you'll be enjoying the vibe. When consider it pride, it's J5. With another deadly camera action, yo, we heavy, aim steady, slash machete, Maserati, engine ready, good and plenty. Don't be petty, count the fatty, and we jetty. Off to another city, what we do our nitty gritty. We wild like Serengeti, terror down like Stephen Zeddy. Get ready for the ride, verbally hang glide, right and stay tied. Missions inside, murdering worldwide. The stage will show 9.
Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Let's trace the hits and check the file. Let's see who bit the dissect the style. I flip the script so they can't get filed. At least not now, it'll take a while. I change the pace to complete the beat. I drop the bass to MCs get weak. For every road they trace is a scar they keep. Cause when I speak, they freak to sweat the technique. I made my debut in '86 with a melody and a president's mix. And now I stay on target and refuse to miss. And I still make hits for beats, parties, clubs, and cars and jeeps. My underground sound vibrates the streets. MCs wanna beef, then I play for keeps. When they sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Know how many rhymes have I ripped and wrecked, but researchers never found all the pieces yet. Scientists try to solve the context, philosophers are wondering what's next. Pieces took to labs to observe them, they couldn't absorb them, they didn't deserve them. My ideas are only for the audience ears, for my opponents it might take years. Pencils, pens, and swords, letters put together from a key to chords. I'm also a sculpture, born with structure. Because of my culture, I'm a rhythm instructor. Technical style that'll be full of technology, complete sights and new heights after I get deep. You don't have to speak, just see and peep the technique. But don't sweat the technique. I speak indiscreet, cause talking cheap. Then I get deep in the beat, then complete. Composed with a Z, never weak or obsolete. They never grow old, techniques become antiques. Better than something brand new, cause it's original. In a while, style I have much more value. Classical, too intelligent to be radical. Masterful, never irrelevant, mathematical. Here's some souvenirs for all the years you fought to sort the thoughts and ideas. It's cool when you freak to the beat, but don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique.
we the people are still here in the rear, yo, we don't need you. You ain't a killing off good young nigga move. When we get hungry, we eat the same fucking food, the ramen noodle. This simple voodoo is so maniacal, reliable to pull a choo-choo. The irony is that this bad bitch in my lap, she don't tell me she make money, she don't study that. She gon' give it to me, ain't gon' tell me none of that. She gon' take the brain away the plane, she spit on that. Vidors and signs with it, don't try to rhyme with it. VH1 has a show that you can waste your time with. Guilty pleasures take the edge off reality. And for a salary, I probably do that just sporadically. The OG Gucci boots are smitten with iguanas. The IRS piranha see a nigga getting common. Niggas in the hood living in a fishbowl. Gentrify here, now it's not a shithole. Trendsetter, I know, my shit's cold. Handsetter, baby, cause I ain't so bold. But yeah, all you black folks, you must go. All you Mexicans, you must go. And all of you poor folks, you must go. Muslims and gays, boy, we hate your ways. So all you bad folks, you must go.
The fog and the smog of the media that logs false narratives of gods that came up against the odds. We're not just nigga rappers with the bars. It's kismet that we're cosmic with the stars. You bastards overlooking street art, better yet street smart, but you keep us off the charts. Some of the fuck your numbers and your statisticians. Fuck you know about true competition. Just like the AO picture on there talking about he hitting. The only one who's hitting are the ones that's currently spitting. We got your Missy smitten, rubbing on a little kitten, dreaming of a world that's equal for women with no division. Boy, I tell you that's vision. Like Tony Romo when he hitting Whitney. The tribe be the best in 8 division. Shaheed Muhammad cut it with precision. Who can come back years later, still hit the shot? Still I'm trying to move you off the fucking block. Babylon blood clot. Droop on your head top.
All of you black folks, you must go. All of you Mexicans, you must go. And all of you poor folks, you must go. Muslims and gays, boy, we hate your ways. So all of you bad folks, you must go.
And yo, whatever comes up, comes out. We don't put our hands over our mouth. And whatever comes up, comes out. We don't put our hands over our mouth. Whatever comes up, comes out.
Beats, Mr. Bassman, lay on me.
I like that. One more time, give it to me. It's real shit right here. I'm beautiful. Hey yo, depending on the day and depending on what I ate, I'm anywhere from 20 to 35 pounds overweight. I got red eyes and one of them's lazy, and they both squint when the sun shines, so I look crazy. I'm albino, man, I know I'm pink and pale, and I'm hairy as hell everywhere.
All right, everybody, 5-minute warning. 5 minutes to the last talk.
Work. I'm not mean and got a neck full of razor bumps. I'm not the classic profile of what the ladies want. You might think I'm depressed as can be, but when I look in the mirror, I see sexy ass me. And if that's something you can't respect, then that's peace. My life's better without you, actually. To everyone out there who's a little different, I say, damn, a magazine, these is God's fingerprints. You can call me ugly, but can't take nothing from me. I am what I am, doctor, you ain't gotta love me. Turn in your Bible to beauty tips according to Forrest Whitaker in the 3rd chapter of the 3rd line. Brother Ali, would you please read to the choir for me, son? I'ma be alright. You ain't gotta be my friend tonight. You ain't gotta love me. And I'ma be okay. You would probably bore me anyway. You ain't gotta love me. And I'ma be alright. You ain't gotta be my friend tonight. You ain't gotta love me. And I'ma be okay. You would probably bore me anyway. You ain't gotta love me. And I'ma be alright. You ain't gotta be my friend tonight. You ain't gotta love me. And I'ma be okay. You would probably bore me anyway. You ain't gotta love me. La 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 la. La 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 la.
God damn, that boy can sing.
You must be crazy.
He good.
You must be crazy.
Up in the 5-star telly, saying 2 mic rhymes, beat them average MCs of the times. Unlike them, we craft gems, so systematically inclined to pen lines without saying the producer's name all over the track. Yeah, I said it. What you need to do is get back to reading credits. Read the medics alphabetically, stuck on that English shit. Now, before we pour that short shot, pure rock, okay, flow.
From the top of the key for 3 villain. Been on in the game as long as he can really swing. Turn the corner spinning, bust that ass and get up. Dust off the mask, curb a laugh, give him a head up. He got jumped, it pumped his adrenaline. He said it made him tougher than a bump of raw medicine. To write all night long, the hourglass is still slow. Flow from hellborn to free power like Lil Cole. And still owe bills, pay dues forever. Slave use when it comes to who's more cleverer. Used to wear leather goose fee with the fur collar. And charge the fee for loose leaf, words per dollar, you heard holler. Broad or dude, we need food. Eat your teams for sure, the streets sure seem rude. For fam like the Partridges, pardon him for the mix-up. Battle for your Tory cartridges or put your kicks up, it's a stick up.
Put your blicks up. These Riddick bowl cuts is full like penile flicks. Give him 20. The danger in his eyes will let you know he's a brawler. Bring your tallest champs like that much taller. 10 pounds heavier. 1 step ahead of it. Vocab, stamina, styles, all irrelevant. Camps and cliques, units, squad crews and clans. Even your tongues will fuck around and lose your ball.
Boom, brung that bong. There goes that news van again. Act like you knew like toucan salmon them. He eat rappers like part of a complete breakfast. Their rhymes ain't worth the weight of their cheap necklace. String them up, bring them up under whack junk snack. And get that out your hand, punk, jump and get your dunk smacked. Foul, we all know the rules, bro. You slow, you blow the super, you fools. His own boss like you
go. Lights, camera, action with no makeup. We nail out to the death, or at least until we break up. Here's a couple of nice guys who finished first. So nice try, but the prize is ours dispersed. They say the good die young, so I added some badass to my flavor to prolong my life over the drum. Everyone cools off from being hot. It's about if you can handle being cold or not. And we were told to hop, but no one's dick by Prince Paul. We stayed original ever since, y'all. First to do a lot of things in the game, but the last to say it. No need to place it on a scale to weigh it. And don't do it for the praise or to raise the bar. Yeah, this raised anyways, so amazing are the 3 L.I. brothers from the other way of thinking. Hey, your ladies winking, I think you need to control that, or I have to hold that.
The elements are airborne, I smell the success. Yo, let's cookie cut this shit and get the gingerbread, man. Sacrifice mics and push drugs to these rappers. Puff ponies till I turn blue in the lips. Sipping broads like 7-Up. So refreshing. I finger pop these verses like first dates. The birth date September 21 1968. Too old to rhyme, too bad.
Oh. I know I'm drunk now. Ladies and gentlemen, I forgot my favorite man sitting over there. His name is
Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina. 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 Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina.
Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina, won't you quit? You really make me sick with your fraudulent behavior. You're gonna make me flip and then an army couldn't save you. Why don't you behave, you little rugrat? Take a little tip from the tabloid, because I know I'm not paranoid. When I say I saw you trying to mock me, now you and your crew are on a mission trying to hawk me. But it isn't happening, you fraudulent foes. You used to front big time, now I suppose that everything's cool since the style of apparel you adopted. You used to make fun of, but now you wanna rock it. Though you gotta kick it with the homie, but DEL is already hip to your cronies. Me and CMP has thought about this and never have we seen a brother who would holler like Mr. Doubleina.
Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina. Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina. Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina. Mr. Doubleina, Mr. Bob Doubleina.
All right, everybody. Last guest of the night. Well, before the performance starts. We've got lots more to do. I'll give everybody just a second. I'm not very loud. How about now? Last guest of the night before the performance starts. Oh, there we go. All right, we're here. Let's hear it. Jimmy. So up here on stage, we've got Jimmy Heath, who is our, did I mention final speaker of the night? He has also been in the NFT space specifically, as far as I can tell, since before NFTs existed. He started by basically buying all of the CryptoKitties that there ever were. There's probably a better story than that. Then he bought all the Bored Apes, and it's kind of been a thing since then. But I would put out there that he has been the proud, this also doesn't come up that often, he is the proud creator of one of the first actual PFP projects that ever happened, Avastars. So if you don't know what Avastars are, there's some on the screen like that one. And this was literally like a 2017 Genesis project where creating your avatar. 2019.
Launched in 2020.
Launched in 2020.
Yeah.
We should not let me tell the story. Jim, how did you get here? And where did it all begin? Jim.
What's up, everyone? Thanks for hanging out with me early on Friday night. Hopefully you got some drinks for happy hour. All right, so for those of you who aren't familiar with me, I am Jimmy.eth, Jimmy with a 1. I got into NFTs actually in December of 2017. And before that, the way I discovered blockchain was I was walking on the Appalachian Trail in early 2017, and I was trying to walk the entire 2,200 miles. I started in Georgia. I ended up in Virginia, and that's where I got off the trail. It was about 750 miles. It took me about 2 months to get there. And about a week before I decided I was done, I was walking next to a guy who told me that he was making money every day walking down the trail doing the same thing I was doing. And I asked him, how are you doing that? And he said he was mining Bitcoin. And I was like, that's cool. And he mentioned, I started talking about it a little bit more, and I'd been familiar with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin and everything all the way back to like 2011 or whenever the hell it launched. But I remember it being, I thought it was a scam, and I remember Mt. Gox got hacked, and the price dropped, and the last time I had checked, the price was around $400. And this guy on the Appalachian Trail in 2017 told me he was mining Bitcoin at like $4,000 per coin. And I was like, holy shit, this is like the thing I was looking for. And so I got off the trail about a week later, as I said, and then went home and built some mining rigs and started mining Ethereum. And then right around like October, November, December is when things really took off in 2017. All the cryptocurrencies were going wild, all-time highs, all these ICOs were launching. So I was just, in that market, speculating, buying ICOs, then doing my research, and then dumping it really quick before anybody else realized how crappy it was. And I realized that wasn't really like why I got into the space, and started to get bored on that pretty quickly. It just so happened CryptoKitties launched like right around that time, and I minted my first CryptoKitty, I think, on December 4th, 2017. It was a really bad cat. I paid too much for it. I had a couple failed transactions before it went through. I didn't even have much ether, so every failed transaction I had to like mine more Ethereum before I could try again. But I really liked that because the guy on the trail was talking about, he had machines working for him while he was walking on the trail, and I thought that was a really cool concept, machines working for you. And so when I saw NFTs, and the first NFTs I saw, Punks had been out for about 6 months, but I hadn't come across those yet. But CryptoKitties allowed you to take two cats and breed them together and create a new CryptoKitty, and you paid a fee that was basically compensating the miners for doing the transaction on the chain. It was 0.008 ETH to mint one. And that was cool too, because I thought, well, you can breed the cats and create some new value potentially out of it that could be worth more than 0.008. So essentially these NFTs, in this case CryptoKitties, could work for you too. So I decided that, since the ICO stuff seemed like, it wasn't going to play out so well, and the crypto markets themselves started to dive in mid-December to late December, I thought that like NFTs could be where maybe I could find my time and energy and focus. I wasn't really approaching the space with any specific direction. I was just thought that there was something really cool here, and I needed to figure out where I fit. So I lost my ass trying to breed cats for a little while because I didn't know what I was doing. And I saw all these people like creating these things called fancy cats. They were like a special addition that you could create if you came up with the right combination of traits. And if you could make a fancy cat, then you could usually sell that for more than the breeding costs, and sometimes a lot more. So eventually, a guy that I became a good friend of mine later, I didn't know at the time and wouldn't meet until about 9 months later, a guy named Kai Turner, he came up with something called the Kai code. It's K-A-I. And that was the code that decoded the genetics on the CryptoKitties. And the CryptoKitties have like this genetic string stored on chain. They don't have any of the art or any of the metadata, but they have this genetic string that could interpret to all that stuff. Kai figured out how to decode that. And so now you could go and look and figure out what genetics your cats had in the hidden genes, because there's hidden genetics as well. And you could figure out the probabilities of breeding these different combinations of traits and getting the outcome you want. So then it became like an odds game where you might have a 1 in 6 chance with these 2 cats to make a fancy. So I would, you could then determine like if it's worth it for you to do it or not, or just take a chance. So anyways, I did that for a long time. All of 2018, I bred CryptoKitties. I became a moderator in the CryptoKitties Discord after I found that. That's where I found all of my really like good friends in the space that I'm still friends with today. There's about 15 of us that kind of stuck together through that whole 2018 and 2019 period, which was a really bad crypto winter. There was really, we were buying ETH for like $200, you know, and
I have to interrupt Jim here for a second. This is when Jim called me and he was like, I found cats on the internet. You should get some.
And he's like, okay, dude. Cool. And then I call him like 6 months later and be like, dude, now there's like punks or like, you know, some other project on it. And you're like, yeah, cool, man. That's neat.
Needless to say, I did not breed any cats, and that's why Jim is Jim and I'm here. But this is a really cool time. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no. So going through that period, I managed to breed not all of the CryptoKitties. There's definitely people who made a lot more than me, but I did manage to breed about 3,000 CryptoKitties, 3,500 CryptoKitties, hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash turned into Ethereum, because eventually the mining couldn't keep up with my CryptoKitties addiction. And that's all sunken costs, because the CryptoKitties aren't really worth that much today, at the moment at least. But it was what got me into the space. It helped me learn. It made me dive in because I loved the project and I wanted to learn everything I could about NFTs and CryptoKitties. And along the way, what I learned was these things I was spending tens of thousands of dollars on, the images and the information about them, which is what I consider the real value, not the token itself. The token is like a vessel. None of that information was stored on chain. So I did a thought exercise. In 50 years, I will these things to my kids. What happens? Well, they're going to laugh at me because they're just going to get some empty tokens that have some string on it that are worth nothing. And like, why did my dad even bother putting this in the will? So I had started having debates with people about the idea of sticking things on chain. And little did I know that there was a project that came out just before CryptoKitties called CryptoCats. CryptoCats? I think that's what it's called. Yeah, let's just go with that. So CryptoCats, which actually did store the cat information on chain and everything else, was a really cool mechanism. I had no idea about that at the time. So I was trying to debate the merits of that. Well, 2019, the same folks who made CryptoPunks made something called autoglyphs. There was only 512 of them. They were generative art. It's just ASCII art, actually, limited ASCII art, on chain, and makes these patterns. But it was on chain. They stored it on chain. It was generated on chain. And when I saw that in it was like April or May of 2019, I said, okay. So Larva Labs, who owns CryptoPunks, was considered one of the most reputable companies in the space and thought leaders. They feel like on-chain has something to it, so maybe like I should dive into this. This is a good idea. And right from there, I started conceptualizing Avastars. There's an Avastar right there. And at first, I wasn't going to do any like detailed art or anything like that. I really love that one. I wasn't going to do any detailed art or anything. I was just going to do like smiley faces and like stick them on the chain just to prove a point. That's all I was trying to do, is prove that like it's viable to do. We found a pretty efficient way to do on chain. It's viable to do, and it's better. And so I had people like Kai, though, that I had gotten to know by now that told me I had to like take the art seriously and do a real project. So ended up spending the better part of a year developing developing Avastars, and we launched it in February 2020, and then that was the founder sale, and then we did the public sale starting on 4/20/2020. So the project's a little bit over 2 years old now. From that led to me setting up my company NFT42, which then we started trying to figure out ways to allow other people to put their NFTs on chain, and we created the platform Nameless from that. And then in 2020, last year in, I don't know, was it May 2020? No, 21. May 2021. The other thing I'm pretty well known for at this point is I minted 420 Bored Apes on like the night they sold out.
This is another one of those times where Jim called me at 1 a.m. and said, "I just spent $100,000 on monkey pictures."
To be fair, I did give you one, or two, or three.
Yeah, totally.
I had 420, and I loved the project, and I felt like it was a great entry point for a lot of people who had not yet been red-pilled. So I started giving them out to friends and family and coworkers. I think I offered one to everybody in the company that responded, and I don't know exactly how many I gave out. The blockchain holds that record. I'm estimating somewhere around 60 to 80 I probably gave away.
We joke, but Jim has had this intuition for a really long time, and it's actually the nice segue into my next question. I didn't mix this note card up. You've had the foresight on the industry for a long time. What do you see on the next horizon?
Well, I'm definitely not. I can't predict the future. I can only like trust my instincts and my guts. What's next? Well, right now, with the market taking a downturn, which you guys talked about a little bit in the last session, it's a little harder. Well, it's not harder to predict, but we're gonna definitely see new ideas emerge. I think for the last year since Bored Apes minted, it's been predominantly adjective animal projects, and it's been a little bit of a frenzy. I don't think a lot of the people who have come to the space have had time to learn about the technology and what matters and what doesn't, and where they should be assigning value to these things and where they shouldn't. So hopefully this is an opportunity for the entire space to take a collective breather and learn a little bit. As to what's next, I mean, I think Gary started something last year with the access utility to VCon, which I just went to VCon a few weeks ago. If any of you guys were there, it was a great conference. A lot of like positive vibes, definitely wag me attitude and stuff. But it was fun and it was uplifting. I think that membership model and membership access and giving you more than just the NFT itself and like leaning more into that community aspect. I think that's probably a pretty good value that a lot of projects in the Web3 space will see it. And it's also a decent way for Web2 companies and enterprise and brands to enter the space as well, as by offering real world benefits to the NFTs that you hold. So probably like membership and access are probably going to be like the meta for part of this year. Hopefully we don't have to do more adjective animals, but it could potentially be that too. We had goblins a couple of weeks ago.
Goblins, everybody. So that's a good point, though. The introduction of utility, especially with the way that Gary blew that out last year. There's an interesting sort of change here. So a lot of people in the room are artists and creators. Other people in the room are builders, or they're building products and things like that. With that, let's call it prediction, I'm going to go out there a little bit, of utility being what comes in the horizon, what do you see some of the problems that people should be thinking about and solving for, right? Because it's one thing to create a community, and we've seen a lot of that. But now that, again, considering the macro environment, what do you think builders and creators should be thinking about as it pertains to the problems that exist out there today?
I think like the number one issue for any project, brand, anybody creating an NFT these days is if you're not directly targeting existing NFT communities and members, then you have to onboard new users. and onboarding new users is definitely a challenge. It's something that we all have to work on together. A lot of my onboarding that I've done has been individually, one by one by one by one. It's the same way I built like my Avastars community and everything else, one person by one person. I'm building this project, come on, hang out. I probably did that for 6 months before I had 500 people in my server initially. I mean, this was a different time for NFTs. You couldn't just tweet and have 10,000 people join your server. But I think that's like the main challenge is like, how do we get, the next 10, 20, 30 million people into NFTs and billion people after that? And the reality is that we're not going to get a billion people to write down their seed phrase. We're not going to get a billion people to store their seed phrase in their safe that they don't have, right? So we have to come up with, I honestly think that I was really excited when Coinbase got into NFTs earlier this year. I was really hopeful that they would come out and allow for people to purchase NFTs in their custodial wallet solution, because that would help people feel a little better about the security of it all and potentially prevent people from stealing NFTs from your non-custodial wallet by adding extra protections and things like that into place. We obviously have a lot of issues right now with thievery and stolen NFTs, people getting scammed. And so obviously we need to improve drastically in those areas for normal people to feel like they can come and spend their hard-earned money speculating on pictures of cats and apes and stuff. So I think, there's a lot of user onboarding that needs to happen, and creating like experiences, tools, custodial wallets, and things like that. These are hard problems to solve. It's not something individual projects can take on. So I think really I would encourage any builders out there to like dive deeper into like the technology and figure out what new innovative things you can do. Unfortunately, innovation is not often rewarded with market like change and price and stuff. It's more like meme economy almost. But I think that the innovations matter, and even if people don't acknowledge it at the time, someone might see your project or what you did and be inspired and create the next Bored Apes or something else, and at least like you helped move that along even if you didn't realize it. So just like, do something you feel like matters. If you see something like I saw with like on-chainness missing from the whole, like what I thought was missing from the ecosystem, I created on-chain NFTs after I saw the example that Larva Labs created, and then I created a digital asset ownership license for those as well. So it was commercial rights. This was before Yuga Labs did their commercial rights. And I don't know if they saw that license or not, but they came out with their project a year and a half later that has the commercial rights. And so maybe they saw that and did it. I don't know. But I'm glad I did the things I did, and I'm glad I put the innovations I did into Avastars, because it set hopefully an example for some future builders, and some people have created some things since.
That's awesome. And there's so many different things that can be solved for the builders out there. The user journey is awful right now. It's better. It's better than it was, but it has a lot to be had in mobile, right? Try to buy something on a website that asks you to launch your MetaMask wallet on an Android device today. Yeah, no, it's not happening. So that's I think a really good core message. So we're here in the space. We've got your wallet circulating on the TVs, by the way. Those are definitely not my apes. And there are a number of folks who are also trying to break into the space or trying to figure out how to really do well. Do you have any advice for creators, artists in particular, maybe not PFP artists, but actually, they have great works of art that they want to make into NFTs that they can really get more reach, right? Get out into the community and do all those things. Do you have any advice for those folks?
If you're an existing creator and you already have a fan base, I would start there, engage interest there, and see what they think. And if you can get some really loyal folks who have some conviction to purchase your digital art as the form of NFTs, I would encourage any creators getting into the space to probably collect first, or at least start to understand what the space looks like and what the successful artists are doing to succeed. I mean, it took them a long time. You had Xcopy, for example, who's now like, you can sell artworks of his for $1 million. But there was a time where in 2018 and 2019 where I could literally go to a website called Known Origin, and he had an edition of 50, I think, of this skull. It's one of his first skulls that he did. And you could mint them at will. Like, I could go mint 5 and come back a week later and mint 5 more. They were like 0.05 ETH. I think they sell for like 10 ETH or something now. But, I mean, he was putting his work out there. He was selling it for tens to hundreds of dollars. And it took like almost 3 years for his stuff to really take off. So I wouldn't look for overnight success and overnight like market just exploding. It does happen on occasion. I don't think it's anything that is easy to replicate. It certainly can be done, but you have to like create a viral moment basically and get the community to all the community to be talking about it in order for that to happen. So I would just grind, really, like, you know, set your objectives, you know, get those small wins and build on that, figure out what the community likes, doesn't like, figure out what's working. If you're in the space for a few months and you're following enough accounts in the NFT Twitter sphere, you can start to get a feel for the meta and potentially sentiment and like what's working. And if you can move fast, you can potentially take advantage of those swings in the market and those different meta moments. But I would say really, like, even if you don't buy NFTs of the artists and stuff, find those other creators that you really respect and get into their communities and see what they're doing right and what you feel like you could do better. And if you're a collector trying to get into this space, I kind of have the same advice except for you're obviously going to eventually buy some NFTs. Find that artist or project that you really connect with, that you would feel comfortable having in your wallet forever and willing to your kids, like I did with CryptoKitties. And, you know, buy things that bring you joy or evoke an emotion that you want to feel. Start there. Don't try to speculate just to like make money in the space. Like, none of us, like in 2018 and 19, like we literally were just throwing money at the blockchain and with no expectation of really making money, unless the thought then was that like if NFTs take off, everybody's going to want a CryptoKitty because it was the first project. And it wasn't the first project. It was the first ERC 721. But that prediction by all of the community that was breeding CryptoKitties did not end up being correct in any way, shape, or form. Doesn't mean CryptoKitties won't have its day in the sun again. If we do all of a sudden get 1 billion people in the space, I don't know that we have 1 billion NFTs in existence yet. Maybe we do, but you know, maybe people want to buy CryptoKitties. But yeah, I would just say, like, do your research. Obviously, Gary Vee does a good job of saying, you know, do 50 hours before you buy anything. I think that's good advice. Crypto or NFT Twitter can be a little bit daunting and full of memes and sarcasm and everything else, but spending your 50 hours in there, you know, you could start to decipher what people are actually trying to say and, you know, what matters. So yeah, just take your time. I mean, there's gonna be another opportunity, probably like Bored Apes. There may not be, but if you're there and ready for it and you have ETH at that moment, that's the key. Like, if I didn't have liquid ETH at the time, if I had degened into some other NFTs the day before, I wouldn't have been able to mint all of those Bored Apes. So you want to always keep some firepower on hand, especially right now. Like right now, we're in a down market. Everything's depressed. The price of crypto is depressed. The prices of NFTs are depressed. So it's like a doubling effect where the USD value of some of these crypto NFTs is like a quarter of what they were. But it's also buying season right now if you're brave, because you follow the opposite of what sentiment is in these, like, buy when people are selling and you sell when people are buying. I sell on the way up. I hold my shit on the way down and try to have enough liquid ETH to buy things when I can. So I don't have a lot of liquid ETH right now. Luckily, I spent most of it on taxes and shit like that right before crypto crashed. So I'm like illiquid into NFTs, which to me is actually not a bad place to be, given that I do have a little bit of cash, because it gives me the opportunity to benefit. Like if someone decides that a Bored Ape, for example, is actually worth $400,000 tomorrow instead of $200,000, then I could potentially double up my ETH through that sale, rather than if I had just held the ETH independently. That's not a great example. That's not going to happen. But the point is that for me, where I found success and why I was able to buy Bored Apes and things like that is I bought a bunch of those autoglyphs that I mentioned earlier. I ended up buying 30 of them. I minted 18. I bought another 12. I was paying 2 ETH for them straight up right after they were minted, and they were minted for 0.2. And my friends thought I was crazy, and they sold them to me all day long. A couple of them traded me some CryptoKitties for their autoglyphs. They wanted my CryptoKitties. I traded them my glyphs. My buddy Nate Alex, if you guys know him, you can ask him about that. I spent on average about $300 on those autoglyphs, and the most I paid for one was 5 ETH, but the average I paid for them was probably about 1.5 ETH. And right before like Bored Apes and all that launched, the average, I think the floor price on autoglyphs was somewhere around 150 ETH. So, and I want to point out that I bought these for like 1.5 ETH when ETH was around $200. So I paid $300 to $400 a piece and was able to sell them for hundreds of thousands of dollars a piece. And that's what put me in a position to be able to, buy Bored Apes. I held on to those things for a long time. A lot of my friends sold out a lot sooner. They were selling for 10, before they were 150 ETH, they went from 2 ETH to 5 ETH to 10 ETH to 15 ETH. And most people reach a point where they're like, I have to take this money. I was just, I have like this, part of it's laziness sometimes. Like I don't want to like sit down and sell the stuff. But part of it too is that, I learned pretty early not to sell all of if I have a collection of NFTs, don't ever sell all of them. You might lose, but like don't ever sell all of them. You always want to hold on to at least a few if you can, just in case that market does something you didn't anticipate in a good way. And of course, after you've made your money and you're comfortable and everything else, so would never speculate with money that you don't have. But yeah, I kind of lost track of what the question was there.
I think it was good. My takeaway was get smart.
Yeah.
Get smart, don't sell.
Yeah.
I've done one of those.
Well, you got to sell eventually, but.
All right. The last question that I have, because I know there are some questions out there, but I'm going to preempt literally everyone and ask this one. What projects are you watching right now, Jim?
I really have an affinity for cyber brokers. My friend Josie Bellini created that project. It's also entirely on-chain. So I feel like it's a successor to Avastars in a lot of ways. And the art is just killer. I love it. I don't know what the floor price is on those right now, but I was scooping up a bunch around like 2.5 and 3 ETH. And then I bought a couple like expensive ones as well to really solidify my place in that community. A couple of friends of mine, I'm involved in a project called the Goda. It just launched this week actually for the Mint Pass. That one's in conjunction with an amazing artist named Nina Chanel Abney, Pharrell, and Cause, actually. I'm really excited about Cause coming into the space. He's a cool pop artist, has had a lot of impact on culture in general. And I think that when my friends and I used to talk about artists coming into the space and who would we want it to be back in like 2019 and stuff, it was like Banksy and Cause were the two that we wanted. So I'm really excited about that project, thegoda.io. So that's me shilling something that I'm involved in. Something I'm not involved in, but I really like, is the Tom Sachs Rocket Factory. So Tom Sachs is like this traditional artist who's done a bunch of collaborations with people like Nike. I'm actually wearing his Nike shoes right now. And he made this cool project last year where you like minted rocket parts, and then you could assemble the rocket. And then once you assembled the rocket, you could go and schedule it for a real physical model rocket to be in the exact likeness of your NFT to be launched by Tom Sachs and his team. You can go and participate in the launch. And then the rocket itself, you can claim and keep the physical. You can donate it to this wall he's creating that's going in a museum, or you can shred it. They're not really sure why people are shredding them, but they gave them the option, and so they have like a shredder in the studio where you can actually shred them. The reason I like this project is because it uses something called composability, and that's taking two or more NFTs, and mashing them together and creating something new, like CryptoKitties. In this case, you had to assemble the rocket. There was 3 different parts. You could put stickers on them and things like that. But then once you have the rocket and you launched your rocket, you could go claim a ticket with your rocket, and that ticket puts your rocket on this huge like Mars spaceship that was going to Mars to mine rocks. So I put like 3 of my spaceships on this thing. I went in to mine some rocks on Mars virtually. Tom Sachs actually set up something in Decentraland to go mine your rocks. And then now we got our rocks. So we got our rocks.
I have 1 rock.
Yeah, and now apparently these rocks will turn into something, you can create something out of the rocks as well. But it's there's not really any good games out there yet right now with NFTs. So playing with NFTs really takes the form of doing like blockchain transactions and like maybe a little bit of game theory and stuff like that. But it's really just making more NFTs out of NFTs. But I really like that project because there's not many projects right now that are trying to do these innovative things. Another one, I got to give a shout out to Frankie Supducks. You know, it's a project that he's just continued to build on and add more and more and more things to it. And I really like the way he's experimenting with different ideas. And Frankie worked with us for a little while at NFT 42, but we had to let him fly. He has so many amazing ideas for NFTs and new cool things to do with NFTs. I can't wait to see what he comes up with in the future.
Yeah, I've been taking as much of Frankie's stuff that I can get my hands on. Frankie's been doing an excellent job.
Plus, he's just an awesome dude.
Yeah, Frankie's awesome. Yeah. All right, questions? All right. I can do this one.
All right, so if 3 Bored Apes and a Mutant Ape got together to form a band, what would happen?
Kingship, yeah.
But so I wanted to get that plug in there.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that, and Celine appreciates that too. I did forget about Kingship. So real quick, for anybody who doesn't know, I did sign a deal with Universal Music Group last year for 3 of my apes and 1 of my mutants to form a band called Kingship. We delayed the NFT launch, the community launch for that, because it was like we were launching right when all this stuff happened about a month ago. And we're actually ramping up and getting ready to launch our NFT project here soon. Everybody's curious about the music. I am too. She hasn't told me much, but I know it's being worked on. I do know of all these other cool things that like the community's doing. We talked a little about access and utility and everything else, and I'm really impressed with what Kingship has in store for its NFT holders. Cool. Thanks, man.
My pleasure. So my question is, so success leaves clues, okay? So we look for, follow someone's success. We look for clues, we can find them. A lot of times, you've already shared many of them, which are things that people did right. But what are some of the mistakes you made, the oof moments, the oh shit moments that us as either artists or creators may learn from those mistakes so that we maybe don't make as many? We're going to still make plenty, but maybe not as many.
Okay. That's a really good question, actually. I talked about earlier how I am really proud of all the stuff I did on the Avastars project. There was actually a ton of innovation because it was like a couple years worth of my ideas built up, and I was trying to express it all in one project. But we did too much. We did on-chain. We did too many new things. We introduced too many new ideas. Like, you need to stick to like really simple concepts that people can grasp onto really easily. Like if you see Bored Apes, 10,000 PFP, commercial rights. We had commercial rights, but we were talking about how our NFTs were stored on chain. We were talking about how they're commercial rights. We were talking about how you were going to be able to make replicants because you can actually breed these things as well. We were talking about all of these, the scrolling mechanism, the way that we did discovery of Avastars. It was, you actually got to pick out your Avastars, everyone's handpicked. We talked about all these things, but it was too much. And it was a tough concept. Like, which concept do you grasp onto? Which part do you care about? How does someone else start to explain this when we're the ones sending out the messaging, explaining like 17 things at once instead of just, hey, it's an on-chain NFT and you get commercial rights or something, So, yes, innovate, but do it in a way that's digestible to your community. Kill your darling? Yes.
That was really it. Just kill your darlings. Yeah, that's why like cover songs work so well too, is because it's something familiar already, people know, and then there's a twist, and then a lot of covers are more successful than the original.
Yep, I totally. So it was destroy your darlings. Is that what it?
Kill your darlings. Yeah.
I can identify with that a lot. That's essentially what I was trying to say. That's a good analogy. Yeah. I mean, be authentic. Make something that you actually want yourself. I mean, I wanted these things. I minted 1,000 of them myself. Spent my own money to do that because to me, it still is one of the best projects out there, and I believe in it, and I have conviction for it. So if it's not something that you would do yourself or be interested in yourself, or if you wouldn't be a collector of it, if you don't fucking love it, don't do it, right? So just, that way, at least, like, if you're doing something you care about, like, you'll have some sense of satisfaction when it's all over, even if no one else cared about it.
Not seeing any other hands up. I thought you had one. I thought you had one in the back pocket there. Yeah.
So what's a thing that you remember? You told us some stuff, but like, I love that you were talking about having an emotional response to something or following something. Don't just buy something, aping into it. But what are some like concepts that you remember having? Like you gave us some, but like I don't know, like an emotional response.
I think the emotional response for me is more come from art and not like PFPs or anything like that. Before I was collecting, there wasn't like a huge PFP push until like, you know, right before Bored Apes, really. So a lot of what I did in late 2019 and through 2020 was collect art on Super Rare, Known Origin, Maker's Place. By the way, if you're a creator and an artist, to answer Matt's earlier question a little further, if you can get on one of these established platforms, even if it's not on Ethereum, Tezos has like some stuff now. I don't know if Solana's really a blockchain, but
Cosmos, baby.
I found some artists that I really connected with and got to know them, like through purchasing their art and then having conversations with them. And the more that I learned about some of these artists, one in particular is Giant Swan. He's an artist out of Melbourne, Australia. He paints in he paints with motion in virtual reality, basically, and he creates 3D paintings that you can experience. Some of them you can experience in virtual reality. I think eventually you'll be able to experience them all. But the more you get to know, more I got to know Giant Swan, the more I realized how much of his emotion was tied into the work, and that he was pouring his soul into this work. And starting to understand that and him as an individual and seeing that, like, just made me connect with the art on such a deeper level. The simple answer I can give is that, like, I like shiny things. So, like, when I see, like, bright, shiny objects, I kind of want to have them. And so, like, a lot of my collection is very bright and poppy and colorful. It's just things that make me happy and make me smile that I want to hang on my walls. That's like the best way to collect. It's even better if it's not expensive and they're not like a established artist that, you know, so support upcoming artists. And, you know, not all of them are going to be a Hackatow or an X-Copy, but you might make some friends along the way too.
And so if we're talking about utility NFTs, and we know kind of the far future of like that potential, or we don't know, but like there's all these utility tokens. What do you think about the value, like the art being the utility? Do you think that long term will be enough because it's a store of value for wealthy people, and so instead of collecting physical art, they'll be collecting fine art in light of the market conditions and what degens consider art nowadays? You know, or like blue chip NFTs, blue chip NFTs versus actual like fine art. You know.
Well, I think you're always going to have more liquidity with like PFP collections than you will with art. When you're dealing with any high-end market, what I have learned over the last couple of years, because I had no idea about any of this before, is you know, you can get buyers for these expensive, you know, 1,000 ETH for an X copy or something like that. But you have to do work to find that. Usually, you could list it on the market and hope for a sale, but the higher end sales are typically going to take longer and be farther and fewer between. So if it's just about like, you know, where it's going to be easier to sell your NFTs in the future, I would definitely say like projects that have a strong community, big communities, and a lot of liquidity and churn in the market is obviously going to be a better like play for that sort of thing. But I don't really know what any of these things are going to be worth in 5 or 10 years. Some of them could be worth nothing. Some of them could be absolutely priceless. I think the most expensive NFTs could end up being, you know, one-of-one art from established artists and things like that, rather than just like a PFP or something. Although the thing about the PFPs is like the community aspect and the collected, like the same thing that happened with GameStop, where like people just decided GameStop was going to be valuable and fuck the traditional investors. Like they can do that. You can do that with any project these days. Like Goblins, to a certain extent, like demonstrated that recently. But I think Bored Apes demonstrated that before, and like Cool Cats and all of these projects are like tapping into this same mechanism. A lot of these markets right now are based on our imagination and what we believe these things could be in the future. unfortunately, most of the time, imagination does not meet reality, and the reality is not as cool as what you were thinking. I think NFTs in general like exceed expectations there, but most projects don't. I mean, it's hard to say like if our imagination is going to catch up. Like I am a little bit worried that we have tied too much value to our collective imagination here instead of the realities of what's being created, and we're assigning more value to popularity than we are innovation, which I mentioned earlier. I think that's a dangerous and slippery slope. I've tried to mix my collecting with like projects I support either because they're my friends or they're innovating, mixed with like popularity. Like Cyber Brokers is a good example. It hasn't taken off like Goblin Town or any of those things, but it's excellent art, it's got excellent technology, and it has that community, and there is liquidity in the market. So if I absolutely had to sell some, I could, even if it was for a loss, since we're down a little bit. But yeah, it's hard to predict those things, right?
As long as you have a Mars rock, though, you're set. Thank you. You can give the mic away now.
Hi, what do you think of the PFP trend right now? And do you think that they're going to be all interested in entering the metaverse?
I think that we probably need a lot more PFPs, unfortunately. But I do hope that we take a short break from that until we onboard more users. As far as entering the metaverse, I hope that many projects are planning on doing something inside of the virtual space eventually. With Avastars, we're actually, right now, we've contracted a company called Crypto Avatars, a guy named Toxam, who's been in the space probably longer than I have, I don't know. He is making 3D models for all of our existing Avastars, and you'll be able to claim those sometime optimistically in August. And those will actually be multiple file types, anywhere from voxelized files to VRM files to whatever the hell they use in Decentraland. You'll basically be able to use Avastars in these virtual spaces eventually. And I do think a lot of projects that are still around as we see an emergent space to hang out in, because we're still like pretty nascent on places that hang out virtually. Maybe it's going to be Other Deeds or something like that. I do think we'll see more and more projects do that in order to continue to keep the community satiated, keep their attention. Frankie9, who I mentioned earlier, he just did VX ducks, which are like 3D voxelized sup ducks.
They look really good.
Yeah. So I do think that a fair amount of those projects will make a transition into the metaverse just because that's where the attention is going to go. I don't know how soon we're going to see that. Like I said, other side might be a good one for us. You know, I don't even play Fortnite anymore, but I saw their trailer for their new season today, and I just can't help but think, but that's like where we're eventually going to be hanging out with these things. You know, I know Tim Sweeney's still anti-NFTs. I've actually jabbed him a few times on Twitter for some of his stupid comments, but I think he's going to come around eventually because this is the future. Gamers, for some reason, are anti-NFTs predominantly right now. I'm a gamer. That's how I got into NFTs. You know, maybe these guys have never bought skins in a game or something like that, but you know, sometimes you get valuable ones and you want to sell them, and sometimes you have too many valuable ones to, you know, what am I going to do? I'm going to buy more video games with the money, you know? So it's cool. Like that was the early indication to me that like, you know, the virtual goods are actually valuable is when I was playing Dota 2 and I'm selling skins for like $100, $200, $300. That was an eye-opening time for me in like 2015, 16 time frame.
Awesome. All right, everybody, that was Jim. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
We're gonna
Some of us are gonna make it.
We're going to try hard to make him stick around for a little while. Grab a drink. We're going to do a stage change, and then we have live music, so it's going to be awesome.
A tidbit, a smidgen. I don't get the message, so you got to run the pigeon.
You're on point five.
All the time, tip.
You're on point five.
All the time, tip.
You're on point five.
All the time, tip.
So then grab the microphone and let your words rip.
Now here's a funky introduction of how nice I am. Tell your mother, tell your father, send a telegram. I'm like an energizer cause you see I last long. My crew is never ever whack because we snare strong. Now if you say my style is whack, it's where you're dead wrong. I slay that body and El Segundo, then push it along. You be a fool to reply the fight was not the man. Cause you know, and I know that you know who I am. A special shout out piece goes out to all my pals, you see. And a middle finger goes for all you punk MCs. Cause I love it when you whack MCs despise me. They get vexed, I will next, cause none can test me. I'm just a fly MC who's 5 for 3 and very brave. On top remaining, no home training cause I misbehave. I come correct and full effect of all my holes in check. And before I get the butt, the gym must be a wreck. You see, my aura's positive, I don't promote no junk. See, I'm far from a bully and I ain't a punk. Extremity of rhythm, yeah, that's what you heard. So just clean out your ears and just check the word. Check the rhyme, check the rhyme. On the boulevard of Linden, we used to kick routines and the presence was fitting. It was I, the Viper,
and me, the Abstract. The rhymes were so rumpin' that the brothers wrote the Zap.
Hey yo, Tip, do you recall when we used to rock those fly routines on your cousin's block?
Let me see. Damn, I can't remember. I received the message and you will play the sender.
You're on point, Tip.
All the time, Fife.
You're on point, Tip.
Yeah, all the time, Fife.
You're on point, Tip.
You're all the time, Fife.
So play the resurrector and give the dead some life.
Okay, if knowledge is the key, then just show me the lock. Got the scrawny legs, but I move just like Lou Brock with speed. I'm agile, plus I'm worth your while. 100% intelligent black child. My opera presentation sizzles the retina. How far must you go to gain respect? Well, it's kinda simple. Just remain your own, or you'll be crazy, sad, and alone. Industry rule number 4080. Record company people are shady. So kids, watch your back, cause I think they smoke crack. I don't doubt it. Look at how they act. But off the better things like a hip hop forum. Pass me the rock and I'll score 'em with decorum and proper. What you say, hammer? Proper. Rap is not pop. If you call it that, then stop.
Service the pen lands on, Daikiris hands on. What's the beef? The coolie high code chiefs, high post techniques. I drape off poetic landscapes and shapes. Illustrate the paper space off the pens that paint. Then design what habit, National Geographic or magic with tailor-made status and plus flavor that's automatic.
We're not ballin', we're taking back to the days of yes, y'allin'. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling.
We're not ballin', a shot callin'. We're taking back to the days of yes, y'allin'. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling.
Melancholy, mundane, sauteed, a hot flame. Big rings, fat chains, they all quest for the same. No name, huge fame, strictly new to the thing. We stay true to the game and never bring it to shame. We tight like dreadlocks, a red fox and ripple. We pass participles and smash the artists in you. The saga continues, this I won't get into, cause there ain't enough bars to hold the drama that we've been through.
Yo, we still the same with a little fame, a little change in the household name, but ain't too much change. We in the game, yo, but not to be vain. I refrain from salt grains to season up my name. We entertain for a mutual gain from close range, steady aim. My drum at your head to hit the brain. I'm labor ready, roll scholar for the dollar. Work for mines, pay me by the hour.
We're not ballin', we're taking back to the days of yes, y'allin'. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling.
We're not ballin', a shot callin'. We're taking back to the days of yes, y'allin'. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling.
Music, that music, new 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 music, that music.
Yo, well it's the the verbal Herman monster, the word enhancer, sick of phony mobsters controlling the dance floor. I'm in them dark places, catch you when you stark naked. Your heart races as we punk you for your chart spaces. That taunt tastes be bringing these hot styles through. Some of you bum a few cheers from shock value. Word power can plow through acres of cornfields. Paragraphs cut like warm steel, perform ill.
We're not falling, we take it back to the days of yes, showing. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling.
We're not falling, a shot calling. We take it back to the days of yes, showing. We're holding on to what's golden.
On the stage I rage and I'm rolling. My comprehensive catalog of crafts. I'm daft, I battle all like I don't have it all. Avant-garde, Battlestar Galactica, got rhymes per capita. I'm shining through the aperture, but I'm not gonna bust no caps for ya. That's another genre. I'm the black bomber, track charmer, sack burner, distract burdens. If it ain't that urgent, nerd prince, word sentinel, invisible, infidel, interstellar, hella clever endeavors, immeasurable with only heaven to go incredible. Melodramatic with tales from the tablet. You fail cause you average, regardless of your sales and your status, you extra baggage. I bamboozle like I'm mobbing in a Land Cruiser. Down MacArthur, artistic archer, autistic misfit. Y'all get the sickness when I spit the wickedness and split your wig like Kid Ignorance. Leave you headless like Icky Bob. I infuriated, tick you off, stick the pop. Hip-hop's too difficult, to me it's a code. Lyrics lacerate and slit your throat. Beat your brain down like Piscopo or Snipico. I don't know, different strokes, so respect me before I whip out old Betsy. Surgically remove you from my testes, purposely improve you just to see who the best be. With soul I'm sexy, take a pole to know the prestige. Large lefty, I automate, animate my soul sanitation like I got a canvas painting. Manifestations. Hey, whoever hearing this, Deltron Z be a lyricist, frontin' on your fake false appearances. Drop you delirious, dead serious, the area's might mysterious. Hey P, whoever hearing this, Deltron Z be a lyricist, frontin' on your fake false appearances. Drop you delirious, dead serious, the area's might mysterious. Go ahead, try symbiosis, but most rap artists don't have any focus. Think they flipping chips? Try penny brokers. Get a gold, no penny loafers. Get my album, I'll show you how it's done. Galatocious, hella atrocious with vocals. My throat holes, verbal chokeholds. Poke holes in your scrolls, my goals are not rifles. I flow, scrimmage like the micronauts. You might go pop, and I might grow crops. Go get the Gestapo, you risking a pot full of gold. Pull a zodiac sign to halftime. Reenact rhymes from my past life over flashlights. Man, you don't know the half. Dash right to the phonograph, pull your boulder dash. Coordinates confirmed, supporting this will learn. My ordinance is stern, so supporting my firm is the only way in this lonely age where you're going crazy. The style is sold and paid for, cause I made more. Water MCs like the Bay Shore, bullets graze doors. In Oakland where they lay low, Della's going AWOL with napalm, A-bombs. Taped to my arms like the town crier. Now miser, strider, spitting cider, ripping plywood. Forget beefcake and lyrical cheapskates. Try Dellin' win the sweepstakes. What I make it so hot, it's seething. Off the deep end, stop your breathing. Caught you sleeping, now you're peeking like you've eaten 100 microdots, wreck your equinox. Delete every piece of props, leave you perforated. Curb your hatred, disturb your matrix in the word Olympics. Completely furnished with burners like Ted Turner. I broadcast the classics, fabulous, fantastic. Beep, whoever hearing this, Deltron Z be a lyricist, fronting on your fake false appearances. Drive you delirious, dead serious, the eeriest, mic mysterious. Hey, whoever hearing this, Deltron Z be a lyricist, fronting on your fake false appearances. Drive you delirious, dead serious, the eeriest, mic mysterious. And the survey says, go practice what's up, man. You know, King Thunder.
toe up, dog. Sound like you, man. Wow, man. For real. She's from, let me tell you about her. Yo, and she came with the same type game, the type of girl giving out the fake cell phone, the name Big Fame. She like catching big things, jewels chip, money clip, phone flip the 6 range. Had seen her on the ass, spotted her more than once. Ass so fat that you can see her from the front. She spot me like paparazzi, shot me a glance, and that Catwoman stance with the fat booty pants. Hot damn, what's your name, love? Where you came from? Neck and wrist laced up, very little makeup. The swims at the Reebok gym tone your frame up, a sugar and spice, the only thing that you made up. I tried to play it low key but couldn't keep it down. Asked her to dance and she was like, yo, I'm leaving now. An hour later, sounds from Jamaica. She sipping Chris straight up, skanking while in her waist up. Scene 2. My fam throwing the jam for Reed is on the stand. Big things is in the plans. The brother Big Moon makes space for me to move in here. Yo, this my man Most, baby, let me introduce. I turn around. You was the same pretty bird who I had priorly observed, trying to play me for the herd. Shocked to sell, she couldn't get it together. I just played along and pretended I never met her. How you feeling? No, I'm fine. My name is Mons, I'm Sharice. I heard so much good about you, it's nice to finally meet. He moved to the booth, reserved for crew especially, and Honey Love ended up sitting directly next to me. I'm type polite, but now I'm looking at her skeptically, cause baby girl got all the right weaponry. Designer fabric, shoes and accessories, chinky eyes, sweet voices, on me mentally. Be conversated, made her laugh, yeah, you know me, bro. Even though I know the stilo, she wild sweet, yo. I'm about to murk, I say peace to the family. She hop up like, how you gonna leave before you dance with me? Dance with me. She blew my whole head with that dude. I was like, what? I played it low though. I was like, yeah, alright, come on then, let's go. This is mad. This was so sick. I'm telling you, yo, Honey was so blazing. She was, yo, she looked like Jane Kennedy. Word bomb to my mother, man. She was that L, man. She take it to the dance floor and she start whispering to me. Yo, let me apologize for the other night. I know it wasn't right, but baby, you know what it's like. Some brothers don't be coming right. I understand, I'm feeling you. Besides, can I have a dance? Ain't really that original. We laughed about it, traced the arms across my shoulder blades. Ain't playing lovers rock, I got to fold the fingers on the waist. He in my butt up like the Arizona summer song finished, and she whispered, honey, let's exchange numbers. Scene 3. Weeks of dating, late night conversation in the crib, heart racing, trying to be cool and patient. She touched on my eyelids, the room fell silent. She walked away smiling, singing Gregory Isaacs like, if I don't, I don't. Showing me a tan line and a tattoo, playing Sade, sweetest taboo, burning candles. All my other plans got canceled. Man, I smashed it like an Idaho potato. She called me at my J.O. Come now, I can't say no. Jensen tree trunks, rocking a P from cocking her knees up. Champion lover, not ease up. 3 months, she call, I feel I'm running a fever. 6 months, I'm telling her I desperately need her. 9 months, blue light symptoms with shorty not around. I need more than to knock it down, I'm really trying to lock it down. Midnight, we hook up and go at it. Burn a slogan, let her know, sweetheart, I got to have it. She telling me commitment is something she can't manage. Wake up the next morning, she gone like it was magic. Oh, damn it. It's on Harrison, full frantic. My number one's an answer by my fly Taurus enchantress. Next week, who hit me up? I saw Sharice at the kitty club with some banging ass Asian playing Lay It Down and Lick Me Up. What?
Good evening. Welcome to the wonderful world of entertainment. We're about to turn you on to numero uno in town. Numero uno in town. Where we come from, we definitely believe in throwing down a female, fly guys.
My shit tag, are you with me? Jump around the floor and get busy. Got the kids stone dripping at the disco. Got the kids stone dripping at the disco. My shit tag, are you with me? Jump around the floor and get busy. Got the kids stone dripping at the disco. Got the kids stone dripping at the disco.
Right now on the mic tonight, young handsome brother on the disco hype. Got the butterfly collar and the skins to match. 10 crates in the booth, got a break to catch. Skills needed to apply, dress chic, you'll be denied. Pay to cover and fly. Everybody's getting high, please don't ask why. See the ladies get tipped while the Chiba get lit, y'all. Here's another hit.
Oh, party people, let's set it off tonight. Tip the bartender, keep the dance floor tight. Young ladies in the house, oh my God, turn it up, y'all. Protocol up off the wall to the last call, last pint. Change it all, you keep moving like your wedding night. Might sweating like headed like too much hype. You wipe your brow. Hey bartender, I think I need a shot right now. Do you have the Jägermeister?
Oh yeah!
But here's a round of brandy for those feeling randy. The P go with disco like Marvin and Tammy. The jam of the decades of overdose. Jump on the good foot, dance comatose.
My city, are you with me? Jump around the floor and get busy. Got the Keystone dripping at the disco. Got the Keystone dripping at the disco. My city, are you with me? Jump around the floor and get busy. Got the Keystone dripping at the disco. Got the Keystone dripping at the disco. That hipster's too cool and having fun's too witty. Got can dance pants and a can dance beard. Grew up in a can dance house to a can dance mama wore a can dance blouse. He used to have fun. He got a can dance trust fund. If I was his dad, I'd kill my can dance son. Good riddance. P-U-D-S, good rhythms. Part of people get with him. Say, oh.
See, I was born and raised in the ghetto.
Listen up, everybody, the bottom line. I'm a black intellect, but I'm refined. We precision like a bullet, target bound. Just living like a hooker, the harlot sounds. Now, when I say the harlot, you know I need the hot heat of the equator, the broth that's in the pot. Jalik, you wind up your hip. Drafting of the poets, I'm the number 7 pick. Licks, boy, on your backside. Licks, boy, on your backside. Listen to the fader, shot heat, let's it collide. Tip the earthly body, heaven's on my side. Even in Santo Domingo, and I got a gringo. We got mics, when do we go? Know a little nigga who can rhyme when you ask me. Short, dark, and plus his voice is raspy.
Like 1 for the trouble, 2 for the bass. You know the style tip, it's time to flip this. I like my beats hard like 2 day old shit. Steady eating booty MCs like cheesecakes. My man, I'll be sure he's in effect mode. Used to have a crush on doing for men vote. It's not like Honey Dip will wanna get with me, but just in case I own my condoms, then TLC. Now the formula is this, me, Tip, and Ali. For those who can't count, it goes 1, 2, 3. The
Damn right, I'm
a big up is who I be. Brothers find it hard to do, but never me. Some brothers try to diss with Malik. You see him bitching me, not care about them DBMC. My shit is hitting. Trini Gladiator, anti-hesitator. Shaheed push the fader. From here to Grenada. Mr. Energetic, who me sound pathetic. When's the last time you heard a funky diabetic?
I don't know, man, I don't know, man, I don't know, man, I don't know, I don't know.
Oh my God, yes, oh my God, 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 oh my God, yes,
Renteria, we the three for poetry.
ride like a roller coaster. Moving up and down, it's like
the fire with no holster. It's a rolling down a mule. Having no look like they used to. Damn. Magic with the brick of voodoo. Magic. Courtside with a bad bitch. Then I said, let me do people go. I'm looking for you like I'm sure she's hard. So I keep the motion. So records go back and some back and some more money making my back. You niggas got a low back. We from the north, that way. Could be blunt in the ashtray. Bitches just messing no smash tray. Hop in the limb, have a drag race. I let them birds take a bath bag. Raindrops, drop top, smoking, no cooking, the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, dot. Cooking up dope in the crock pot. We came from nothing to something, nigga. I don't trust nobody, grip the trigger. Nobody call up the gang and they come and get you. Cry me a river, give you a tissue. Bad and bullshit, bad. Cooking up dope with a Uzi. My niggas is savage, ruthless. We got 30s and 100 rounds too. My bitch is bad and bullshit, bad. Cooking up dope with a Uzi. My niggas is savage, ruthless. We got 30s and 100 rounds too. Hold, phone, dropping money out of space. Kid, cut, drink, introduce me to your bitch's wifey, and we know she slutty. Broke a brick down, nutty, buddy, now that nigga ducky. Don't move too fast, I might shoot you. Draco bad and bougie. I'm always hanging with shooters. Might be posted somewhere secluded. Still be playing with pots and pans. Call me Quavo Ratatouille. Run with that set, call me boo. When I'm off, they show me boobs. Ice on my neck on the coolest. How about the suicide with the moves? I pull up, hop out, all of the drugs in the club. I'm cooking, I'm whipping into a rocker, let it lock up. I gave them 10 racks, I told them go shop it and spend it all at the pop-up. These bitches, they fucking so thick and they bustin' for Instagram, get me caught up. Yeah, that way. Out on the track like a Segway. Yeah, that way. I used to trap out of Subway.
tried to prove myself to you, baby. I've been staying down with impatience, taking me through all of your phases. How you traded all trading places. Late in the midnight hour, you made the worst decisions. I was always there to listen. Not this time. Let me talk. Like the best in America. Don't make me have to embarrass you. Come with me, shit like a marathon. Just let me down all the way home. Come with no drama, ain't never been wrong. I know you put me in the friend zone. Like does that I'm in the end zone. Bust down on the red though. Late in the midnight hour, you made the worst decisions. I was playing my position. You got missing. I got feeling. Late in the midnight hour, you made the worst decisions. I was always there to listen. I got feeling.
cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it, cut it. Them bricks are way too high, you need to cut it. Your price is way too high, you need to cut it. Cut it, 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 cut it. Them bricks is way too high, you need to cut it. Your price is way too high, you need to cut it. Running through bands on the record, hitting my plug on the celly.
Test. How's everybody doing in the house? Alright, can y'all hear me?
I'm gonna go bake me a pipe.
Great.
45 on my side.
We got a rapper coming on next by the name of Nizzy Niece. We need everybody to the stage.
OT, I found me a plug. I got it straight out the mud. Keep it 100, no bugs. I fell in love with the drugs. Busting it down in the
You don't have to back up.
Give me my money in dubs. Water whipping, looking like a fish in baseball in kitchen with my arm, my picture. Rollie on his glisten, I'm a donut kissing. Steady tripping, so I steady gripping. Dirty money on me, got it still up on me. I don't phony, about to sell a pony. Only some my price is good, motherfucker. Show. Cut it, cut it.
How's that? A little better?
Cut it, cut it.
Better?
Cut it,
Great.
cut it, better. Alright, you need to cut it.
Everybody needs to come to the stage. My boy Nizzy from Houston.
Cut it, 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 cut it.
Right about now, we got Nizzy coming on. Y'all make some noise.
Way too high, you need to cut it. Winning, now living with my trap money. Million up, but still ain't never touched my rap money. Now I'm out in LA with that boy OT. Flew to LA, got a plug on that OG. You know I been getting money if you know me. And I first got my plug, I told my piss 100 G. I ain't coming to get it unless you got 100 P. I don't want it. Your price, you need to cut it. Your ice, you need to tuck it. She with me, she lucky. $500,000, all 20s in that Gucci luggage. Let's skip the small talk. It's time to talk names. Young playing with commas. Might go get a land for the summer. I been out here in these streets all my life hustling. My beefing, then I'm beefing wrong, but right I'm busting. My trap house, I love it. Put some forges on my old school and I had to cut it. But should I put a roof in? Cut it, 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 cut it. Them bricks way too high, you need to cut it. Way too high, you need to cut it. Cut it, 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 cut it. Them bricks is way too high, you need to cut it. Your price is way too high, you need to cut it. Push it, push it.
Mike will move.
Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. We in the air. We in the flip in the air. Turn the whole place around. We rockin' the dope. Soon as they get off the boat. Even the sun for me. Chopping it back like a riding. Serving a new Maserati. In a brand new Maserati. That's a whole lot of new money. Session that hot in the 12. Moving the squares in them bills. Serving the raw and say yeah. Beating that China like what's a kitchen. Whipping that fishing for a kid. Breaking no syrup from rolling the printer. Make myself a boss, I'm bossing up. Either way you put it, nigga, I'm good. Triple salute, nigga, straight out the hood. Back of soda, water splash and still. Right in my pot in my lip. Leaning out right on my shit aside. I whip me a 4-way to a 9. The dirty, the money is homicide. And my recipe can't be televised. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. I'm scared. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young
Chest. I am yelling into a microphone. What up? Yes, yes. Okay. Yeah, it's good enough for now.
My dinner plates, no silverware. All you niggas my e-hoes. Plus a kilo like a free throw. Crack house had the peephole. Made it through to the other side. Now nothing's big as my ego.
Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, make that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, make that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Me, I try to be the best for later. But pussy try to put me on the respirator. The old skateboard beat, that's your favorite. Me and 20 girls doing yoga naked. Frequency high, like a spaceship. She say that she like it, then she been exposed. The Gandalf hat and the way ass clothes. That's coming I saw in the buffalo. I know you live with the triggers, that's sort of banana clippers. I'm packing with the biggest missiles. These niggas is knocking with vehicles. These niggas ain't ready to see niggas. These niggas ain't trying to get these niggas. These niggas like trying to down trees niggas. These niggas want you drink and it's weed niggas. These niggas is weed and they lead niggas. G nigga. If you got two hoes, you need to let one go. Two Lambos, you need to let one go. All these drones, why y'all smoke dope? Never eye the sky, I'm trying to let y'all know. Ain't no standards, I'ma set one though. Big ass bag, but no man stand though. All that wood, we need to let that go. That bone business, I'ma get that hoe. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, make that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Hey, move that dope. Young nigga got that dope.
Sounds good.
Work that dope. Like a bad
Testing.
with no
There we go.
Young nigga cash out. Toss him in the perk, toss him in the Zen. Young nigga bout to pass out. 12 jump behind him, got some in the car. Young nigga bout to smash out. Me with it out, say you got some ring, you got fresh spot to blow out. Quick truck, round the corner, truckin' now. Gang club, on the side smoking out. Go gang out, boy. Like Mickey Mouse. Nigga in the project, rock one now, me no way. I can't afford to buy. I go while I'm serving dope. The days in my hood, roll that crack. Say it, give 'em hope. Serve a nigga home, Ricky, hoping that it come. Goddamn, young nigga just don't let me spend that money with casino. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. They move that dope. They move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. Young nigga move that dope. They move that dope. They move that dope.
Test. Can you hear me, John? Yeah. Test. Testing. Up. Need more volume? Okay.
My weed so strong, my teeth so hard. Smoke so many joints, soon I might need a line. Spend so many grand that I might need some bands. Yeah, that's your bitch, why she acting like she need a man? I made it, don't talk to me, cause I made it. Talk about cause I smoke this, talk to talk to me, cause I played it. I'm crazy, that's my favorite. Yeah, I'm approaching, cause you can get it. Get blind, grab my nigga crazy. Yeah, I hate being sober. Who's gone on my smoke? Give me my niggas gon' roll up. Believe they gon' fab on you. You think you gon' roll up. You smoke by that round. Some bitch, I smoke by that round. Yeah, I hate being sober. So many chain, they call me chain and tank. And I like to finish what you think you started. Man, you boy just got to Hollywood, you boy just started. You don't know what you just started. All I do is hang with the young and heartless. All this for my family, man, I try my hardest. It's all I ever did, and look where it got him. Yeah, you been on my mind lately. You still got my number, girl, you need to call me. I feel like they wanna see me learn the hard way, but you know I always handle that one my way. Girl, let me rock your body. Justin Timberlake and then I hit the highway. I can't trust no fucking body. They still out to get me cause they never got me.
They still out to get me, they don't get it. Cannot be gotten, that's a given.
They like Pablo. Why are all the windows tinted on your Tahoe? Why do you know every single bitch that I know? Why can't you just shut your mouth and take the high road? Fuck if I know. That's that Chicago. South side, that's the motto. Cop a crib and spend 10 million on me motto. Take the devils out my life and preach the gospel. I know we went way past the line of scrimmage, ayy. Throwing us back up in it, ayy. In the field like MMA. Y'all get so offended, ayy. I be blacking out, I ain't backing out. Jay about his business, and I'ma let you finish. But I just wanna rock your body. Take you to the garage and do some karate. Chop it, sippin' sake. Throw a thick bitch on a Kawasaki. Dropped out of school, now we done rich. This sound like some 4301 shit. All my niggas wanna do is pop style. Turn my birthday into a lifestyle.
Tell him he'll do for the paper. Ain't no telling. Souffle, I'm straight, I stay, my plate, shot day, I'm a smooth operator. On driving make you feel some type of way.
I think it's portable. I think we're good.
Custom brightly make you feel some type of way. This bitch on we got me feeling some type of way.
Up, good.
Because my homies switch, you feel some type of way. Some type of way, make you feel some type of way. Her she wanna fuck me, know you feel some type of way. Mr. CEO, it's what my title say. Me and my homies DJ Ho, he feel some type of way. Be real, I know you feel some type of way. When I get the bite on her ear, she make that Tyson face. Don't look like that. I drop down to my knee, thankful for life today. No naps, it's long sleep. Hibernate. I can tell if you 12 right away. Go through hell cause I care, move you far away. Drop you off late, no he feel some type of way. I got hoes like I was tryna make what Tiger made. I gotta hide away.
Montana, he'll do for the paper. Souffle, I'm straight, I stay, my plate, shot day, I'm a smooth operator. I drop the top of my whip, that car driving make you feel some type of way. That custom brightly make you feel some type of way. This bitch on we got me feeling some type of way. Is it cause my homies rich you feel some type of way? Some type of way, make you feel some type of way. Heard she wanna fuck me, know you feel some type of way. Mr. CEO, it's what my title say. Me and my homies DJ Ho, you feel some type of way. She got a Georgia peach with her real end like a license plate. No Ricky, girl, Scott Cookie got me high today. I probably made more money in 6 months than what's in your papa say. Feel like I robbed the bank. I said it all like Queen Latifah, cause I'm living single. I'm feeling cautious, I ain't scream when they serve a subpoena. I heard he a leader, come follow my tribe today. I fucked him, now he hit it. He feel some type of way, don't know how to say. I ain't the hardest man working. Attention we pay, it's always a man lurking. No man perfect, but God in my head, I know it.
Every day I'm hustling. 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 Every day I'm hustling.
Who the fuck you think you're fucking with? I'm the fucking boss. Said I'm 45, white on white, that's fucking Ross. I cut them wide, I cut them long, I cut them fat. I keep them coming back, we keep them coming back. I'm in the distribution, I'm like Atlantic. I got the motherfuckers flying across the Atlantic. I know Pablo Noriega, the real Noriega. He owe me 100 papers. I ain't petty, nigga, we buy the whole thing. See, most of my niggas really still deal cocaine. My roof back, my money ride. I'm on the pedal, show you what I'm running like. When they snatch black, I cry for 100 nights. He got 100 bodies, serving 100 lives.
Every day I'm hustling. 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 Every day I'm.
We never steal cars, but we deal hard. Whip it real hard. Whip it real hard. I call the charge, I call the charge. Whip it real hard, whip it real hard. Ain't by no funny shit, still bitches in business. I'm on my money shit, still whipping them Benzes. Major league, who catching because I'm pitching? Jose Canseco just snitching because you finish. I feed them steroids to strengthen up all my chickens. They flying over Pacifics to be specific. Triple C's, you know it's fact, we holding sacks. So nigga gon' rap, run and tell them that. More cars, more hoes, more clothes, more clothes.
Every day I'm hustling. 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 Every day I'm.
It's time to spin my grills, custom spinning wheels. Ain't drove in a week, the bitches spinning steels. Talk about me cause these suckers scared to talk about me. Killers talking about me, it ain't no talk about me. It ain't no walking around me. See all these killers around me, lot of drug dealing around me, going down in Dade County. Don't tote no 22s, Magnum cost me 22. Sat it on her 22, birds go for 22. Lil' mama I'm a super thin. She say she 22. She seen in room 222. I touch work like I'm convertible Burt. Distribution, so I'm converting to work. In the MIA, yo. Them niggas rich off, yeah, yo. Steady slanging, yeah, yo. My shit be banging, yeah, yo. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm
Alrighty. Let's get it. Aight. Hey.
What's this video called?
WRST NFT.
WRST NFT?
It's the company name is WRST. WRST NFT. WRST.
Oh yeah. Wait a minute. Hey! How we feeling out there? How we feeling out there? They tried to have us locked up with that COVID bullshit, but we back out now here in these streets, you know what I mean?
What's my DJ's name?
Jesse!
It's Nizzy.
Yeah!
Certified.
Yeah! I need y'all to turn up with me. Yeah. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. That cash money, I got it. That swag honey, I got it. I pop that cause I got it. They talk about it, I got it. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. All I do is stuntin'. Why these dudes be frontin'? Think all about what I'm wantin'. You touch me, nigga, we jumpin'. We pop all and we dumpin'. That bass up and it's bumpin'. We do the shit like it's nothing. While they talkin', they bluffin'. Fool around for the act, nigga. All my diamonds, they black, nigga. Show them up you cause you a whack, nigga. In the club and I'm slap, nigga. Need a runway, I'm finna take off. Christian, knock your face off. Boy, I made one like steak sauce. Run through the green like a break off. I'm trying on, I cop it. So them hate niggas just stop it. Some getting these dick jockin'. Like a rubber band, I'm poppin'. And that supercar lane hoppin'. Come on, y'all, I need y'all to come to the front. That's what we came here for. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. That cash money, I got it. That swag honey, I got it. I pop that cause I got it. They talk about it, I got it, yeah. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Yeah, we stunt. All we do is stunt. All we do is stunt. Stop it, stop it, stop it. How y'all doing out there tonight? It feels good to be back out here performing. This is my first show since COVID happened, so bear with me. I may be a little rusty, but we gonna go crazy tonight. You feeling good? Say hell yeah. If you living life, say hell yeah. All right, let me see them hands up. Hit it.
Tell them all.
Get them up. Everybody get them up. Get them up. Hey, everybody get them up. Get them up. Hey, everybody get them up. Get them up. Hey. Get them up, get them up. In them glasses we gon' fill them up, fill them up. The situation change when there's ballers in the room. Take a hit of this and then we headed to the moon. She all on me, I'm all on TV. Her boyfriend mad, cause his ass wanna be me. I'm lost in Paris, still doing my two-step. Take another shot, girl, you still ain't do shit. Patron all nights, keep me going all night. She move like a stripper, that's the shit that I like. I'm going around the world, girl, just got off a flight. Superstar status, I got money to swipe. So tell them hoes, get them up, get them up. Everybody get them up, get them up. Everybody get them up, get them up. Everybody get them up, get them up. Come bring another round, another round. Tell that bitch to drum it down, drum it down. The king of my city, yeah, they gave me the crown. I can swim in this money until we both just drown. Yeah, I'm the Don Dada, busy popping every collar, getting dollar. It ain't another nigga hotter. We do this every day, Get that money, then we blow it all away. Yeah, ain't had a smoke. Girls with the champagne. HUG, girl, we doing our damn thing. Go on crack rock, just hit the jackpot. Team so mean, all we need is a fast spot. Tell them hoes, get them up, get them up. Everybody, 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 get them up. Yo, cut that. Yo. Hey, this ain't COVID. We ain't got no masks on today. I don't like the 6 feet distance. We gotta bring it in, man. We here. Everybody's together. We gotta get off that, man. It's time to be together, everybody. It's time to be together. Hey, life is short. Life is short. We gotta be together. Everybody, we gotta be together. Come on. You know what I mean? We gotta be together. So this next song I'm about to do is called Brand New. I know some of y'all got on some brand new shit tonight, right? Somebody, right? Let's hit that shit. If you know the words, sing along with me. Look at my watch, look at my chain. They brand new. Y'all ready? Check. Look at my watch, look at my chain. They brand new. Look at the wheels on that thing. They brand new. All these shoes, all these clothes, they brand new. All this money, all these hoes, they brand new. Say that shit, brand new. Say that shit, brand new. She don't like my attitude. She said it's brand new. Brand new. Brand new. You never seen this shit before because it's brand new. Had to grind hard trying to make a living. Put on my city, now I'm eating like it's Thanksgiving. It's all eyes on me, feel like a television. Shout out to all my niggas locked up in that cell division. I'm popping rubber bands on these fuck niggas. Doing the getting money dance on these fuck niggas. I'm tatted up, don't make me take my shirt off. I said I'm tatted up, don't make me take my shirt off. Let go. Pull up on that pussy like I'm finna park in it. She said it's wet, but she ain't never had a shark in it. Had to cop a Louis belt just to feel right. Oh, follow up. I need y'all help for the hook. Let's go. Look at my watch, look at my chain. Look at the wheels on that thing. All these shoes, all these clothes. All this money, all these hoes. They brand new. Say that shit, brand new. Say that shit, brand new. Hey, she don't like my attitude. She said it's brand new. Yeah, brand new. Brand new. You never seen this shit before because it's brand new. Alright, stop. Oh man, I love y'all right now. Man. Hey, make some noise for yourself. Make some noise for yourself. Alright, so I'm gonna need y'all help on this next one. So this next one is all my hitters. I might just run up a check with who? With all my hitters, right? Y'all ready? Let's do it. Yeah, we're gonna have fun tonight.
I might just run up a check.
Y'all ready?
I might just run up a check.
With who?
Yeah.
With all my hitters. Fucker than hop in a jet. With who?
Yeah.
With all my hitters. Her body when I rip the set. With who?
Yeah.
With all my hitters. I might just run up a sweat. With who?
With all my hitters.
I might just run up a check. With who?
With all my hitters.
Fucker than hop in a jet. With who?
With all my hitters.
Her body when I rip the set. With who?
With all my hitters.
I put in hard work and sweat. With who?
Sweat. With all my hitters.
I put in hard work and sweat. All of my niggas is threat. I get the checks. All of my ting up against. Then it's rhyming with the text. Back in the kitchen. Bosses be flipping that shit up. Get it. Know how my niggas be flipping. Back in the back we be wild and whipping. In Cali I'm not in the city slipping. I need to get back to Paris. Cause she ride that dick like a Ferris wheel. I come to your house like the gas bill. I'm at your head like an ass bill. If I say that I'm in it, nigga. Shit, Master P, I be bout it. Fucking with my team, I highly doubt it. Woo! I might just catch your body. I might just run up a check with who?
With all my hitters.
Fucking and hop on the jet with who?
With all my hitters.
Hard body when I rep the set with who?
With all my hitters.
I put in hard work and sweat with who?
With all my hitters.
I might just run up a check with who?
With all my hitters.
Fucking and hop in the jet with who?
With all my hitters.
Hard body when I rep the set.
With all my hitters.
Alright, we cut that. Hey man, y'all killing it tonight. Y'all killing it tonight. What we doing in the back there though? What they doing back there? We going crazy up here right now. So right here, this next song I'm gonna do is called This Right Here. You ready?
This right here.
This right here. This right here. This right here. This right here. This right here. This right here, I got so much alcohol in my cup. This young cushion about to roll up. Talk about money, watch you show up. Hurricane gang, we about to blow up. If you ain't fucking in, I'm not interested. I made cash, then I invested. Ass fat, she big breasted. And she just might be the next contestant. Cause this right here, the party of the year. Swap champagne and put your hands in the air. Getting higher than the lift. Slip problems disappear. Got them haters in the rear. Yeah, got designer on my gear. From mama crib to a beach house. Cause I paid my dues for the cheap route. So now I know what them freaks bout. And now the niggas speak bout. Girl, don't take it personal. I know that you've been drinking. Just let me take you home. Show you what I've been thinking. I need everybody to say this right here. Y'all ready? Hey. This right here. This right here, party of the year. Hey, this right here, this right here, this right here, this right here, party of the year. Put your hands in the air, hands in the air. Name a nigga, do it like me. Tristan Parrish to Sightsee, from ashy to icy. I can see why these niggas don't like me. Gonna roll up the strong, take a puff, then we gone. I ain't seen the crib in so long. Think about the miles I've flown. Come on, girl, it's a celebration. When I walk through, all these niggas hating. Fuck with me, I take the situation. I ain't buying shit with no hesitation. I know you like that. I know you like that. Yeah, but I'm through with the Louis V bag. Louis V bag. Come on, y'all.
Girl, don't take it personal. I know that you've been drinking. Just let me take you home.
And show you what I've been thinking.
Yeah, I know you feeling nigga. Liquor in your cup.
Everybody, I need to say it. This right here, y'all ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey, this right here. This right here. Party of the year. Hey. This right here. This right here. This right here. Hey, this right here. Party of the year. Alright, we cut that. Get your hands in the air. Hands in the air. Cut that. So this year, I haven't performed in like 2 years, so this is my first show. Make some noise. But over that time, I bought my dream car. So I bought a 79 Vet. It's an old school Vet, black on black. I love it. So I made a song called My Car, right? And we're going to play that bitch right now. Yeah. I go by the name Nizzy Nice. You can follow me on Instagram, all that good shit.
It's your boy.
Yeah.
Nizzy.
If you like any of these songs, they all on the platforms. You already know what it is.
We lost in LA right now.
Hey. Girl, you should get in my car. Hey, and take a ride with me. I can take you to a place that's far. Hey, we can smoke this tree. Girl, you should get in my car. And take a ride with me. I can take you to a place that's far. Hey, let me talk to her. Hey, yeah, I'm working on $1 million. It's cause I'm trying to get $1 billion. Hey, it's cause I'm trying to buy a bill down. Hey, HMG, I've been billed down. Hey, my kick game like Jet Li. Woo, that's why these girls all sweat me. Hey, I'm catching waves on the jet ski. Hey, I'ma take her home if she let me. Let's take a hit of the potion. Hey, we smoking Billy Ocean. We on the ocean. We got the top down, now we coasting. Hey, we getting money now, so we toasting. When it comes to hoe, we should know emotion. You see I'm going up like a promotion. I'm blowing loud while they keep silent. If you ain't getting in, I'ma keep riding. Girl, you should get in my. And what? Take a ride with me. I can take you to to a place that's far. And what? We can smoke this tree. Girl, you should get in my car and take a ride with me. I can take you to a place that's far. We can smoke this tree all night. Y'all shining like some headlights. She said she want a man that got his bread right. I'm looking for a chick that got her head right, and she can be with me if the head right. Hey, we can let the tree roast. I did my thing, now we on the coast. It won't be long till we hear the ghost, cause we tryna ball like we in the post. Yeah, she fly like a little birdie, and that's straight up like 12:30. The cops out, so we getting nervous. It ain't been the same since the world heard us. We can roll this tree, that's all we need as we proceed. We can roll this tree, that's all we need as we proceed. Girl, you should get in my car and what? Take a ride with me. I can take you to a place that's far. What? We can smoke this tree. Girl, you should get in my car and take a ride with me. Yeah. Alright, we can hit that. We can smoke this tree. We can hit that. So also during the pandemic, I bought a motherfucking chain, as you can see on my goddamn neck. Yeah, God been good to me. God been good. So I made a song called VVS. Y'all know what VVS diamonds are? All right. If y'all know, we gonna get lit. Let's get it. Brand new bust down, brand new VVS, brand new RT, brand new Louis bag. Only want the top now, nothing less. You can get it all, baby. You the best. I know you know now. What? Don't take your time with me. I don't slow down. What? I gotta work constantly. Brand new bust down, brand new VVS, brand new RT, brand new Louis bag. Only want the top now, nothing less. You can get it all, baby. You the best. I know you know now. Don't take your time with me. I don't slow down. I gotta work. All this money I can't even count. Yeah. They be talking but they not about. Yeah. I'm still young, so I'm out here wild. Yeah. I was lost but then I found. Yeah. Trust me, they know I go hard. Cross me, I might break your heart. I'm tatted, I'm black and I'm smart. I'm a shark, I can rip you apart. Don't you run from me. I know you lonely. I got bands on me. I'll make you OD. I know you want more. I'll show you the world. Never loved before. For who we got on our motherfucking bed? Brand new bust down, brand new VVS, brand new RT, brand new Louis bag. Only want the top now, nothing less. You can get it all, baby, you the best. I know you know now. Don't take your guy right here, man. But I don't slow down. Hey, I gotta work constantly. Drop scars just to fuck the game. When you make it, watch them say you change. The jewels wet, they look like a spring. Keep the tool just in case it's danger. You see them getting cheese like a mouse. Now you wishing you was with me when I'm out. You know I gotta hold this head down, and you know that I wear the crown. Don't you run from me. I know you lonely. I got bands on me. I'll make you OD. I know you want more. I'll show you the one. Never loved before. What's on my motherfucking neck? Brand new bust down, brand new VVS, brand new RT, brand new Louis bag. Only want the top now, nothing less. You can get it all, baby, you the best. I know you know now. Don't take your time with me. I don't slow down. I gotta we cut that. Brand new bust down, brand new VVS. We cut that. Hey man, how y'all feeling out there? Am I doing a good job? Alright. I don't know if y'all drunk enough though. Alright, we're gonna take this one together. Everybody raise their glasses up. This is for 2022, for the summer to be lit. And I hope everybody get whatever they deserve this year. Automatic, you know what I mean? Let's get it. Toast. So this next song I'm gonna perform is called Wait a Minute. So when I started rapping, I was in a group and I was doing all the work. So I was like, hold up now, wait a minute. And I was like, I gotta write a song about this shit. So it go a little something like this. You weren't with me in the booth when I was putting in this work, motherfucker. Huh? Wait a minute. Nah, they wasn't with me.
Big head on.
Nah, they wasn't with me.
Nizzy.
You weren't with me in the booth when I was putting in this work, motherfucker. Ah, wait a minute. You weren't with me late night when I was searching for a beat to say, nigga. Ah, wait a minute. I'm the one that took the risk getting tatted like this when I was working on my image. Hold on, let me finish. I ain't done, let me finish. You weren't with me in the studio working on these raps all night, nigga. Wait a minute. You weren't with me on the block when I was trying to get a nod, nigga. Hold on now, wait a minute. I knew this for the job, so I had to sit back. I was working on my image. Now I ball like a scrimmage. Hold up now, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. Haters I done had way too many. I've been doing plenty, counting every penny. Now I'm spitting like a semi-automatic. Get the money automatic. I've been busy, I ain't worried about the status. Niggas talking like I never had it. Now I'm flooded with the cabins, taking flights, just a tour around the Atlas. So fly, I ain't never had a stylist. Niggas freeze up, cause they know I keep the wires. Woo! Fuck how you feel, you don't know how much time I put into this shit. I pray for my haters like fuck them, and God is my witness. I was sincere to this shit when I was sipping on the liquor. Now I just run up a check and start hard with my niggas. No hold back this shit, taking off like a land. Celebrating on the top, getting in, now I'm shitting on my peers. Writing checks, no jacks, no sweat, no the money getting clear. Now I'm sitting smoking on the pier, while all them haters in the rear. Swear it feels good to be here, I swear the whole hood should be here. We don't need your help, my nigga, we good over here. You weren't with me in a booth when I was cooking these slaps all night, nigga. Wait a minute. You weren't with me on the night when I was trying to get a beat to say, nigga, wait a minute. I'm the one that took risk getting tatted like this. I was working on my image. Hold on, let me finish. I ain't done, let me finish. You weren't with me in the studio working on these raps all night, nigga. Wait a minute. You weren't with me on the block when I was trying to get a nod, nigga. Hold on now, wait a minute. I knew this for the job, so I had to sit back. I was working on my image. Now I ball like a scrimmage. Hold on now, wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Yeah, man. I had to tell them motherfuckers, hold on now, wait a minute. Woke up broke and no heat, had to sleep in your coat. Last thing you wanna hear is a joke. I'm asking God for hope. I'm reciting everything to the road. I can tell you about the shit I do, about the shit I does. They couldn't see me, but there I was. Young nigga trying to get that buzz, sipping liquor till I feel that buzz. I'm a king like I said I was, nigga. Yeah, man. We doing work. We doing work. We doing work. So this next song, you might have heard in a commercial or ad. So I'm an artist, but I also do placements for TV and film. You might have heard my song in a movie, a commercial, one of your favorite TV shows on Netflix. So stay tapped in with your boy. Follow me on Instagram. So this next song is called All I Got. Nizzy Nice, Nizzy Nice everything. Nizzy Nice everything. Let's get it. I wish I had a mic stand. Yeah. Yeah. I'ma get it all I got. Like 23, I stay on. I do it like it's my last shot. We grinding every day. Ain't no other way. I'ma get it all I got. Like 23, I stay on. I do it like it's my last shot. We out here every day. Ain't no other way. I was working what I got, now I'm standing at the top. Used to dream about that Billy, now I pull that off the lot. They didn't wanna see me when they met, I made it off the block. The whole city know I'm hot, I'm the shit and they can stop it. This money bring a whole lot of hoes. It's suicidal every time I lift my doors. I couldn't imagine doing this shit when I was broke. Now I walk around with jewelry dipped in gold. Yeah, my pockets get swole. She said she never miss a show.